evening, everyone. I will now call to order the April 16th, 2026 Board of Education meeting. We acknowledge the traditional ancestral unceded territory of the Chumash, Tongva, Fernandeño, Tautaviam, and First Nations on which we are learning, educating, and living. Ms. Kirsten Morris, our Burbank Council PTA president, would you be willing to help lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Sure. Thank you so much.
Please rise. Hand over your heart. Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much. Good to see you again. I hope the rest of last night was wonderful. Ms. Beauregard, will you take the roll at this time? Please.
Member Olson.
Present.
Member Agakanian.
Present.
Clerk Kano.
Present.
Vice President Weisberg.
Present.
President Ponser Kamkar.
I am present. We have 5 members. That's quorum. Reporting on closed session. We do not have any items to report out of closed session. Number 6, adjustments to the agenda. Do we have any adjustments to the agenda? Did you see that we, hang on. We have an adjustment to the agenda from Dr. Weisberg.
I'm wondering if we can move 12B to after 12E so that our resolutions can be together.
Do you want to move 12E up?
Yes.
Got it. So 12E
So that we have school librarian
to
in the same.
12B, then 12E.
Yeah.
Got it. I'm
If
fine
my-
with that.
great.
If that works for my colleagues. Any other adjustments to the agenda? Going. Number 7, items for future agendas.
You go first. I have.
Ms. Olson.
I would like to start the process of beginning a committee on technology and AI so that we can get public opinion, community opinion on updating and having a policy on AI.
Great, thank you. Other future agenda items. Dr. Arkanian.
Thank you, Madam President. I want us to revisit the conversation we had last year about, looking at possibly creating
Just speak.
looking at possibly creating a Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation and an incubator. I know that we've talked about career tech in the programs, but right now there's a lot of talk, about, the future. And so we had spoken about this at one point. We've even looked at the site to try to see if we can partner with businesses out there, the city, to create this center. It was probably a year and a half ago. And I just want us to revisit that and see who the interested partners will be.
Who would be bringing that item?
So I love to have, the conversation was originally to have it at the adult school, if possibly, or, to use one of their sites, because it's kind of in lines in what they're doing.
May I ask, maybe CTE?
Yes.
I think we might have a staffing issue to do it with CTE right at this point, but let's put it on our agenda tracker.
It's exploring it.
Right, and we'll think about when that makes sense to come. I don't know that it's going to be immediate.
No, but I think going back to the conversation we had in the past, because we had even talked about identifying a location, partners, and then it kind of went, unfortunately, the conversation kind of stopped, but I love to see it come back. And the reason I say this, because with AI, but also career tech right now, it's a big thing. But also in terms of where the state funding is going right now, there's a lot of focus on state funding on career tech education. But they're looking for centers, i.e. the case, for example, tomorrow, it's the grand opening of the center at East LA College, and we got funding from the state. Because a lot of cities are also looking to partner with educational entities because they want to provide incentives for people, students, members of the community, to invest their businesses in the city. And they're getting funding also, from county and state to reinvest back. But it's kind of a, so I'm kind of I'd love to revisit that, just knowing where the future is and where the jobs are going, and kind of build on that, and even the interest of cities now. Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay. Would that be something that Burbank Adult School might
Yeah.
Yeah.
be able to? Okay.
And
And then,
they're gonna be there tomorrow at the opening of the other center.
oh, great.
The director.
And then, holy mackerel.
No,
And then, Kelsey, just question in terms of with the AI, would that be something that you think will be covered in the tech meeting
Yeah.
that Dr. Anders is
The
hosting next
tech
week?
meeting is staff.
Yes, that's
Well, it's
internal.
beginning because we need to have, oh, okay, so you're saying for,
Yeah, I think
public.
similar to
Or
kind of to our budget advisory committee.
oh, okay.
Having a committee formed
Yeah.
of our community to bring forth kind of the opinions on it. And that could also
And the
include
research,
staff,
too.
and that could, yes, yeah.
I just,
I think having an agenda item where we talk about what the approach is to forming that committee and how that will actually work would be great.
Thank you.
Dr. Weisberg.
I have two things.
Okay.
Thing one, in keeping, this was asked back in November, but I want to revisit asking for a tech audit report back. So, how we're using tech, the approach, Chromebooks, the cost of the going back to carts fee right now, having the one-on-one. I think we can't even begin to have a conversation about utilization until we know what we're using and how. So I think that is definitely something we want to get back sooner than later, so that we can have that data to look at. So that's one. The other thing I would love to get back is a gate report. I don't think in my time on board we've had one. So it would be lovely to hear about what it is, what's happening at our school sites, the way that it's funded, all that good stuff.
Can I
Ms. Olson?
may I add to yours?
Please.
I would love, as part of that gate presentation, just to be more specific, I would love to also, as part of that, have the process for identifying and, yeah.
And to define acronyms, GATE is Gifted and Talented Education. Any other additional agenda items? Thank you. All right, then we will move to 9 reports, so no presentations?
We're going to capture that under superintendent's reports.
Oh, okay, got it, that's right. 9 reports from the board and staff, so we'll start with our student representatives. I see Haley Wong from John Burroughs High School. Welcome, Haley.
Hello and good evening, President Kamkar, board members, Interim Superintendent Dr. Macias, district staff, and members of the Burbank community. I'm here this evening to share my report for John Burroughs High School as of April 16th, 2026. This week marks our final Spirit Week of the school year, and students are excited to close it out with a Hunger Games themed week as we lead up to our spring rally tomorrow, April 17th. Each day has brought a different theme tied to the rally storyline. Mondays was Flares of the Capitol, where students wore red, gold, or orange. Tuesday was Dress as Your Type. Wednesday was Survival Gear with Camo. And today is District Training Day, where students were wearing shorts and athletic gear. Tomorrow, students will represent their class district at the rally. Seniors of District 12 in red or gray, juniors of District 11 in brown, sophomores of District 10 in green, and freshmen of District 9 in blue. In other ASB news, we are hosting our last blood drive of the year next Wednesday, April 22nd from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. in the Brian Hurst Gym. We encourage students, staff, and members of our community to stop by and donate blood to help save lives. Next week, our JBHS Armenian Club will also lead a week of activities to celebrate Armenian culture and commemorate the Armenian Genocide. From April 20th to 23rd, students and staff will have the opportunity to participate in guest speakers' presentation, cultural activities in the quad, and a lunchtime cultural showcase. We encourage our school community to come out and support the club while honoring the many Armenian students, staff, and families who are an important part of our campus. In athletics, many of our teams are continuing to build momentum after strong performances this week. Boys volleyball celebrate their senior night on Tuesday after their win against Burbank and also have a home game today at 6 p.m. against Crescenta Valley. Softball is also coming off a great win against Burbank on Wednesday, while baseball will host Arcadia tomorrow at 6:30. Swim competes today against Glendale at 3:45, and boys tennis also have a home match today against Glendale at 3:45. We are proud of the hard work and energy our student athletes continue to bring as the spring season moves forward. Lastly, I am honored and excited to announce that our 2026 to 2027 ASB Executive Cabinet and class officers has officially been elected. The general application first opened in late February, allowing students from across campus to apply through our ASB application Google Classroom. Following spring break, candidates for executive cabinet and class officer positions began their campaigns, giving them the opportunity to connect with peers and engage with the student body. As of April 3rd, I am proud to share that our new ASB president for the 2026 and 2027 school year, and the student who will be taking my place as student board representative next year, is Sabrina Cotto, alongside Vice President John Meneses and the rest of our newly elected cabinet. I am incredibly excited to see how they continue to lead and strengthen student life at Burroughs. Beyond that, we have no major concerns to share at this moment. Thank you. I'm happy to answer any questions or clarifications.
Thank you so much, Haley. Any questions from my colleagues? Ms. Olson?
The blood drive, confirming that it's the 22nd. And did you say a time? I missed that.
Yes, it's the 22nd, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Dr. Arganian?
Thank you. I just want to thank the high school and the club. I will be one of the speakers during the Genocide Remembrance Week. But also, I love the themes of this day. We dress like if you ever get a chance, send me a list, because wouldn't it be great at work if we have like one day dress green or blue or something? I just love that. But I love the themes you come up with.
Thank you.
So it's very creative. So if you're never busy, just like send me a little like, hey, this is what we're doing.
I'll send it as soon as I can. Yeah.
You never know, right? Go to work.
We do go to work.
You do have
Yeah.
All right.
That's all week. I'm wearing pajamas.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I see I have Avo El Iglesian from Burbank High School.
Good evening, Board President Kamkar, members of the board, and community members. Sorry. Thank you for the opportunity to share updates from Burbank High School. Our ASB elections have been completed. Congratulations to all the students who participated. We are excited to see all that they will accomplish next year. Prom, themed Diamonds Are Forever, and inspired by James Bond, was held last weekend at the Peterson Automotive Museum, beginning at 7 p.m. It was a memorable night filled with great food, dancing, and festivities. On April 9th, we hosted our Cultural Mosaic Expo during lunch in the Quad. This event gave cultural clubs the opportunity to showcase their traditions and share food and experiences with the student body, promoting inclusivity and cultural awareness on campus. We also held our UCLA blood drive on Monday, April 13th. Many students signed up to donate and support this important cause. This past Tuesday, we held our spring rally celebrating our spring sports teams and their seasons. The rally featured performances from band, Unleash Varsity Dance, Cheer, and Dance 3. The theme for the rally was 2016 Trends. In addition, we are currently in the midst of our Spirit Week. Today was Coachella Day, where students wore merchandise from their favorite artists, and tomorrow will be 2016 Day to close out the week. Our drama program is also presenting Almost Maine in the auditorium tonight, tomorrow, and Saturday, April 16th through 18th. Finally, our upcoming car show will take place on Saturday, April 25th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. in the Burbank High School Glen Oaks parking lot. Tickets will be $10 and car registration is $20. The event will feature local vendors, including coffee doses, as well as breakfast options such as burritos, bagels, and donuts. This event is supported by the Burbank Road Kings and is open to the public. Additionally, I'd like to take a moment to advocate for the importance of having a dedicated athletic trainer on our campus. I understand that there may have previously been one, and that there are likely circumstances such as budget considerations that affect decisions like this. While I may not be fully aware of all the factors involved, I do want to emphasize how important the role is for our school community. With the reopening of our pool and the continued growth and success of our athletic programs, the need for proper medical support is more important than ever. Many student athletes have personally come up to me expressing concerns about not having immediate access to care for injuries, recovery, and prevention. As participation continues to increase and our programs become more competitive, ensuring student safety and well-being should remain a top priority. As a newly elected ASB president for next year, I feel a responsibility to bring forward, to bring forward the voices of our students and advocate for resources that directly support them. While I understand there may be limitations, I strongly believe that investing in an athletic trainer is a worthwhile use of school resources as it directly supports the health, safety, and performance of our student athletes. The addition of a qualified athletic trainer would be greatly appreciated by our student body and would provide reassurance to athletes, coaches, and families alike that their well-being is being properly supported. We are hopeful that this is something that can be considered moving forward. Thank you for your time and continued support of Burbank High School. Any questions?
Thank you so much and congratulations.
Thank you.
Anything from my colleagues or staff? No? Okay, awesome. Thanks
you
for
so
the
much.
report. All right, we'll move on to reports, 9B reports from our labor partners. Nicole Drebecki from Burbank Teachers Association.
Good evening, President Punter Kamkar, members of the board, Interim Superintendent Macias, and district staff. My name is Nicole Drebecki. I am the BTA Vice President and a PE teacher at Dolores Huerta. I have been in the district for 19 years and have been teaching for 23 years. I'm here to talk about item 13M, SPED Professional Services Alpha Interpreting Amendment. It was originally not to exceed $700,000, and then a second amendment was approved in December 11th, 2025 to add $500,000, but now it's not to exceed $2,075,000. What can we do to bring these interpreting services in-house? How can we attract and retain skilled interpreters and translators for the DHH program who may be more invested in our program and be more cost-effective? We need to revolutionize how we run things within our SPED department. I would like us to take steps to reduce the agencies that we use each year. I would like us to hire our own BUSD employees. The agencies are so expensive, and we need to be more cost-effective. It would be nice if we could start thinking at that level and start making these improvements for the coming years within our special education department. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Trebecki. It was good to see you. All right, and then we'll move to reports from the superintendent. Dr. Macias.
Thank you, Madam President. A couple things to report out, because I do want to give the floor to the Burbank Arts and Education Foundation for a presentation. I want to update our community that we did officially receive our letter from the County Office of Education that regarding our second interim, and they have concurred with our positive certification. More details will be coming, and we'll be sharing that with the community along posting the letter broadly on our website, and we'll be openly sharing that. They have requested an updated fiscal stabilization plan, and I know our business department, we're already working on it, but that's something I wanted to openly share with our community. Secondly, before I forget, to address athletic directors, we hope to present a job description, athletic trainer, thank you. Very different job. In the next couple of board meetings for approval for this board to consider, because we definitely know the need exists at the high school, so we are addressing that issue firsthand. To members of the community who have taken the time to write us about the use of technology in schools, and the questions that you're asking are more than appropriate, centered around student learning, centered around the intentional use, the well-being of our students. We are definitely paying attention. We are aware. We're already having internal conversations, and as we've heard, we're going to be forming a working group and taking that on. So thank you for taking that time. We have a direct responsibility as a school district. A one-size-fits-all model does not work, so we definitely have to pay attention and ensure that we're doing all the best practices we can. And also to be respectful of our labor partners and all our partners involved in the education process. We want to make sure that we have a complete, thorough discussion moving forward. A quick thank you to our council PTA. Last night's honorary service awards celebration times 100 was phenomenal. Lovely to celebrate all our volunteers, all the advocacy work, but most importantly, I think what was amazing about the event was just seeing people together laughing, smiling, and enjoying each other's company and reminding ourselves of the commitment that we have to our students. So thank you to Council PTA for that. And last, I want to take the rest of my time to introduce our Burbank Arts and Foundation representatives tonight. So I'm going to welcome you to the podium. Our chair, Jen Larigo, Vice President Michelle Duarte, Director Aaron Clendenin, to give a presentation and update on our spring grant cycle. Real quickly before you do, a quick thank you. No, please stay. Please stay. A quick thank you on behalf of the school district and the entire community for your work, your efforts to fundraise, and to give back the impact we see immediately. And we deeply appreciate this partnership, and we hope to continue that. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Good evening, President Ponser-Kamkar, members of the board, Interim Superintendent Macias, and staff. My name is Erin Clendenin, and I'm here on behalf of the Burbank Arts and Education Foundation. We're very happy to be with you this evening to share that our foundation provided over $58,000 in grants during our recent spring cycle. This brings the total amount to over $112,000 for the 2025-26 school year. I'd like to share some of those grants. They include, for McKinley, auditorium microphones; Providencia, books for classroom libraries and books for the school library update; Edison, expansion of their garden to include a microforest; Roosevelt, flexible outdoor seating; Bret Hart, books for English learners, a classroom light table, and math manipulatives for grade 1 and 2; Washington, a new kiln, supplies for the curriculum specialist, and carts for lunchtime activities; Huerta, computer supplies and funds for their garden; Luther, new ovens for culinary arts, new computers and supplies for intervention; the Muir Orchestra, funds for instrument repair; Burbank High and Burroughs combined Winter Guard, performance props; Burbank High Drama, play production costs; Burbank High instrumental music, stands, mics, and a keyboard; Burroughs, enlargers for the photography lab and equipment for the broadcast journalism class; and Burroughs instrumental music, microphones, brass mutes, and updated clarinets. In addition to these individual school grants, we funded 2 district grants. The first is a specialized email communication software, which was purchased to efficiently create, manage, and distribute newsletters and announcements to parents and guardians of BUSD students. It includes easy language translation and accessibility features to foster inclusion and ensure all families and staff can access newsletters. We also purchased supplies to create a chill zone on the playground for every elementary school. This is a weatherproof storage container. The doors are opened at recess and lunchtime. Inside are books, seating pads, games, and art supplies. These provide alternate activities for students that would prefer something quieter. The principals were inspired by the chill zone that Disney Elementary created a few years ago. Disney will use their funds to expand their chill zone. We would also like to very much thank everyone who participated in the Ben and Jerry's Cone Day on Tuesday, to those who helped manage the lines, scoop ice cream, and eat ice cream. It all made the day a wonderful success. A gift like this is not possible without the power of community. The generous donations of our BAEF community and their commitment to Burbank students creates real impact in our schools. Thank you for your continued support. Anyone wishing to learn more about BAEF, our grant program, and how you can add to our impact, please visit our website at burbankartsanded.org. Thank you very much.
Comments from my colleagues? Oh, Dr. Macias first.
A couple things before I sign off. I want to formally welcome someone that's new at our board meetings that we didn't get a chance to do formally, Ms. Stephanie Beauregard, who's taking controls. And with that, she's not here, and she's probably happy that she's not here because I'm going to call her out. To Ms. Cindy Quiterio, who has done an amazing job not only in this position, she's also now in our Human Resources Department, but she's been a stable force, someone with deep knowledge, but we're forever grateful for her work and contributions to our board meetings. So thank you, Ms. Quiterio.
Thank you, Dr. Macias. Dr. Arkanian? Did you have?
Oh, thank you. I do want to thank all of our friends at the Burbank Arts Education Foundation, especially at moments right now. So all of you are aware, right now with all the, cost of gas and everything going up, it's very difficult for people to give. But it's also very difficult for individuals to go out and ask. And sometimes people forget how difficult it is to do the ask. So I want to thank all of you because I'm in the same area. I do run a nonprofit, and I know how difficult it is right now. With the uncertainty, investors not knowing if their money is coming back or not, all that interesting stuff happening. But for you continuing this, it's a testament of your commitment to our students, to our kiddos, and also to education. So if you're out there listening, everyone, if you're giving $1, you should double and triple it now more than ever, because it is becoming difficult. Even grants out there now, the numbers of people applying for grants has almost tripled because of lack of these donors out there, because of what's happening, unfortunately. So I want to thank you again from the bottom of my heart, because I know how difficult it is, what you do every day. And for those of you who have not given, you should. Plus, tax season yesterday was a deadline, but you can build up for next year as a write-off. So make sure you go and donate to them. So thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you, Dr. Arkanian. Anyone else? Dr. Weisberg?
I am aware that I'm very out of shape, but my arm hurts from the ice cream scooping. I'm not going to lie. That was hard. So board member Kano and I got to scoop together. She was smart and wore an apron. I just wore a lot of ice cream. But it was such a cool experience to get a chance to connect with community members, to see everybody out and about who were showing up all through the day. And even a couple of hours after we were there. And, just want to echo a huge thank you to Arts and Ed. It's really fun to have opportunities like that to help out, but also just so blown away by the unbelievable work. We simply could not do what we do without you. And the list that you just shared is a small part of that. So I'm just eternally grateful and I want to thank everyone who was patient when I tried to scoop chocolate ice cream.
Ms. Olson.
Thank you. I just need to add to the scooping comment that I got to scoop alongside some high school students who told me that they had to be in school the next day, had AP exams coming up, and what an honor to get to work with them and the dedication that they were showing, in addition to the families, community members. So it was an awesome day. And I also appreciate, because I could hear you just constantly saying to everybody that was coming up, hey, this is what we're doing. These are the students we're supporting. This is why we exist. And everyone must have been exhausted because it was 12 to 8 o'clock. So thank you to everyone that participated. It's worth bringing up again.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for all you do at the foundation. I think one of the most amazing pieces is just the way that you support our staff at schools, right? And their vision for instruction. And I've seen that with the grants that you give out and the way that it enhances and grows that, and the way that you really promote collaboration between school sites and say, look what this site is doing. Do you want to do that too? We can help fund it. We can help make that reality. I think that's amazing. And that's the real kind of partnership that makes this really special. So thank you so much for all you do and for the grant cycle this year. So with that, Dr. Arkanian, go
Just
right
out of
ahead.
curiosity, are you going to bring back the signs? Remember, I support...
The yard signs?
Yeah,
Is that what you want, a yard
signs.
sign?
You have them? How much? 250 or more. Sign me up one. I love to. Mine is worn out. I want another one. So.
To translate for Dr. Arkanian, if you make a donation of $250 or more to the foundation, you can receive a yard sign, just like the one Dr. Arkanian will have in his front yard after he makes
I'm
a
serious.
donation of
Do I get it online?
$250 or more to the BurbankArtsandEd.org.
And thank you for that. As a former Baskin Robbins employee on Central, yeah, I did. Sorry, don't. Yeah, I did. But it's a lot of work. So thank you. 8 hours. Wow. Sorry.
Thank you so much. All right. We will now move on to requests to address the board. All comments about ice cream and otherwise are welcome. An individual or group representative present this evening may address the Board of Education on any agenda item or on any subject within the jurisdiction of the school board by completing a white request card and turning it into Ms. Beauregard. Speakers are requested to state their name prior to speaking to the board. Not more than 5 minutes may be allotted to each speaker except by unanimous consent to the Board of Education. The superintendent may refer the matter to the proper department for review. The district is providing alternatives to in-person attendance for viewing and participating. Do we have any virtual public speakers? Okay, great. No virtual speakers. So I will start with my first card here. I have Jim Festante, followed by Elizabeth Isabella. Hi, Mr. Festante.
Members of the board, superintendent, and educators, my name is Jim Festante, and I'm a parent and media literacy educator here in Burbank. For the past decade, school districts across the country have poured millions of dollars into ed tech. We put a Chromebook in every backpack, a smartboard in every room, and Wi-Fi across every campus. But as my 20 years working inside the media and tech industries has shown me, we made a critical miscalculation. We gave our students ed tech, the devices, but we completely failed to give them tech ed, the instruction on how these devices actually operate. We sent them into a digital ecosystem built by behavioral psychologists specifically to hijack their focus, and we sent them in without a playbook. We falsely labeled them digital natives, assuming that because they can swipe a screen, they have a natural fluency with the landscape. They don't. They are simply digital inhabitants, trying to survive in a digital world they were never taught how to navigate. That lack of media literacy is the root cause of the tech friction your teachers deal with in the classroom every single day. I am here tonight to propose a shift. We need comprehensive media literacy in our curriculum. But I also know that the fastest way to lose the support of an exhausted teaching staff is to hand them a massive new standardized subject to teach. What I'm proposing is not a new class, but a new lens. I've developed a 5-point framework designed to enhance, not burden, the current curriculum. First, cognitive agency, teaching students how to actively protect their focus and information processing. Second, algorithmic literacy, understanding exactly how their digital feeds and content are curated to keep them scrolling. Third, social defense, equipping them to recognize and protect themselves against digital toxicity and manipulation. Fourth, psychological literacy, recognizing the emotional and neurological triggers embedded in the platforms they use daily. And fifth, intentional creation, shifting our students from being passive consumers into purposeful creators. Teachers do not need to pause their English or social studies classes to teach this. They can apply these 5 lenses to the media, literature, and historical manipulation they are already analyzing. I want to work together with district administration, principals, and our teachers to explore exactly how this framework can best serve our classrooms. One potential path forward is a collaborative pilot program in 3 of our schools for the upcoming 2026-27 school year. I would provide the professional development and track the metrics on classroom focus. We want to prove together that this framework works. Once we have that data at the end of the 26-27 school year, we can expand it to across BUSD and take our model to the state level. Burbank is the media capital of the world. The algorithms, the platforms, and the content that captured the globe's attention are built in our own backyard. There is no city on earth more uniquely positioned to lead this fight. It is time we stop just being the media capital and become the media literacy capital of the world. And that starts with a partnership of this board to protect the focus of our students. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I have Elizabeth Isabella, followed by Barry Sarna.
Hello. I spoke to several of you last night, but for those that I didn't, hello, I'm Elizabeth Isabella. I am the PTSA president at Burbank High, and I'm here to talk about the need for a concession stand at Burbank High. I watched the board meeting a few weeks ago, and I realized that all the advocacy that we had done on this issue hadn't made its way up to the board. So I'm here to rectify that tonight. As you no doubt know, there are 2 sides to this coin: equity and liability. However, the coin itself is community and how to take care of the community under your care. I'll start with equity. Simply put, Burroughs has 2 concession stands and Burbank High has none. You might be tempted to think that this issue can be solved by simply holding things at Memorial Field.
That, however, is no solution. For one thing, there are more sports than just football. The field is used by soccer and track and field, as well as community groups that run track and field programs and football programs. It is also positioned next to the tennis courts and the future softball field. These programs cannot all migrate to Memorial Field. Scheduling alone precludes it, to say nothing of the unfair burden of making our students travel across town to participate in their activities. All of these programs sell concessions at events and competitions to raise money for their programs and for their athletes. All of these programs at boroughs get to use the concession stands at Memorial Fields. All of the programs at Burbank High have to haul in a jerry-rigged system to sell concessions. And this is where we get to the liability side of the coin. And while I will describe to you the setup, I also invite all of you to volunteer volunteer at concessions at the football season coming up in August, September, and October. And I'd love for you to do a session at boroughs. And you can enjoy walking in there at 4 p.m. All of the supplies will already be there. They will have brought them in there on the weekend and put them into locked storage. They will have already put all the beverages in the fridge, and they will have several days to cool down. You'll go get a crock pot from storage that's 10 feet away. You'll put it on a counter. You will hook it into electricity. You will heat up everything that you need to heat. You will be able to keep your hot dogs and pizza warm in the double boilers that are already there, and then you will clean up with running water, running hot water as well. And you'll be out of there at 10 p.m. very easily. And then you can come to Burbank High, where we have to haul everything in before 4 p.m. And we have, well, let me backtrack. We start by praying to the weather gods. So we hope that they look kindly at us and we don't have a wind event, the Santa Anas, a storm, a 104-degree day. Then we shift our prayers to hoping that no one trips on an extension cord and lands face first in the hot dog heater, or knocks over one of the folding tables that's holding urns of boiling water or a crock pot full of hot nacho cheese, or throws their back out, unloading bag after bag of ice into coolers that we have had to bring in and then hope that we have them, and then we don't get complaints from someone saying that, oh, this pizza that I just paid $5 a slice for is now cold in the wind. We could look at this just as a liability, but it is also about taking care of our community and how we treat the volunteers who contribute to our programs and also the students to volunteer to help. And while I have probably scared the pants off you about allowing anyone to sell concessions at Burbank High right now, this is where we circle back to equity, because boroughs, the programs at boroughs can keep using their already built concession stand. And we cannot have such disparate opportunities at our two high schools. That's not how you take care of community. We cannot have the haves and have-nots at our two separate high schools. I know you are hopefully revisiting this issue, especially with architectural drawings tonight. But in the meantime, I hope you are all signed up for messages from PTSA from both boroughs and Burbank High, and you will look for those sign-ups when they arrive in your inboxes in August. And I look forward to welcoming each of you to a shift at football concessions.
Thank you so much. All right, I have Barry Sarna, followed by Kathy Wells.
All right. Good evening, board members and staff. I'm Barry Sarna, a 37-year Burbank resident. I can't believe I said that. I'd like to tell you about an innovative approach to classroom management and behavior I got to experience at Muir in the last few weeks. As many of you know, I taught at Muir for 25 years, and as a retiree, I still sub there. They recently got an award for a school to watch, and obviously very good reasons for that. So recently, behavior has become more of a concern for teacher and substitutes. There are many reasons for that, but I don't think that's not the discussion I'd like to have tonight. As you know, especially since many of you are educators or former teachers, you know that if you have one problem student in the class, you can manage it. If you have two, it's going to be a problem. If you have three, yikes. If you have more than that, if you have more, I gotta find my own, I'm going off the thing. Then you have about 90% of the students that are not causing problems are denied the full attention of the teacher and their right to an uninterrupted educational experience. To preemptively deal with poor classroom behaviors that affect classroom learning, Dr. Miller and his admin team have been visiting classes in the first few minutes of each period when there is a guest teacher to remind the students of behavioral expectations, whether it's the regular teacher or a guest substitute. They explain proper behaviors and let students know that consequences for classroom disruptions will be met with even stronger disciplinary actions when there's a guest teacher. Wow, I was really impressed. I've had some problems that I didn't even have as a classroom teacher. So this costs you nothing. No board agenda item, no policy was necessary. And I was told by Dr. Miller that in the coming weeks, campus supervisors would augment and would be added to the team to continue this valuable intervention. So I did speak to this board about 2 years ago about discipline, which, by the way, is not a dirty word. And yes, we have PBIS, which is an idea dating way back to 1997, but sometimes I think more is needed to make sure that no student is denied access to education because of the time a few students continually distract the class and the teacher from teaching. So Muir is also using something I found out called ODR, Office Discipline Referral, which is a formal record of a student's disruptive or rule-violating behavior sent to the administration for intervention and consequences. ODRs document incidents. So therefore, I want to commend Dr. Miller and his team at Muir for dealing with behavioral issues ahead of time, explaining clear expectations and consequences. So Burbank was, and hopefully is, a place teachers want to come to work because we support our teachers better, even though, as we know, we do not pay as much as other districts. That's why I came here. I hope that there is more BUSD can do to enable teachers better support so they can teach. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sarna. And next I have Kathy Wells, followed by Jennifer Larigo.
Hi, good evening, board and district staff. I'm Kathy Wells, a 30-year BSD teacher, Burbank homeowner, and a taxpayer. I'm here, but I'm exhausted. Last week I brought some some of my kinder kids here to the city hall. They sat in your chairs, folded their hands, and learned about the city and the history of the city, and went to the police station. It was great. That was last week, planning for a field trip, lots of communication. In the last 2 weeks, I've had 2 brand new students start in my classroom, so now I'm at 24. So one was a second language learner. There was no space in another room, so she doesn't speak a lot of English, so I figured out how to get her support. And another one who hasn't been in school for 145 days. So his learning start point is very different than what's in there right now. So it's been exhausting. Open houses next week. For those of you who don't know what that is, in an elementary school, that is bulletin boards and projects, and it is a lot of work, and hide all your clutter. It's a lot of work. I'm going to bounce because I have a ton of paperwork. I got interim progress reports due tomorrow that I haven't done. So it's a lot. I'm here to speak for the trees. No, I'm here to speak for the teachers. A lot of teachers would come here, but frankly, we're just exhausted. You know, at the end of the day, to make a speech, to go to a board meeting, you know, I don't have kids at home right now, but, you know, a lot of our teachers do. It's just a lot. So I feel like I just want to talk, because as you know, Burbank Unified teachers and all other staff recently got really significant raises for the next 3 years. Teachers here in Burbank see no raises. In fact, we see cuts. Most teachers are currently making less than we did 5 years ago, probably less than we made 10 years ago, because our salaries are frozen, costs are higher, and our healthcare has gone up. So we're kind of going backwards in our what comes home and what goes out. Let's be honest about why we're here in this situation. It's not just about our declining enrollment. Our district has wasted millions of dollars due to poor physical oversight, paid administrative leaves, tax payouts, excessive legal costs, poor judgment, And the burden of all these financial decisions, I think, are going to fall on teachers and the classrooms, sadly. Dr. Weisberg, I'm curious. I was so surprised when you voted no for the cuts. Do you have some kind of out-of-the-box thinking solutions that influence your decision? Because the cuts were brought up in a February meeting, and then the vote was postponed till March. And then that was 2 weeks to discuss like ways that we could have avoided the cuts or lessened the cuts. You were the only one who voted no on the cuts, and I'm sure it was really difficult for all 4 of you others to vote yes on the cuts. So, because every one of you wants to put the kids first, I know that. So I hope that if there's some ideas to get creative and think of blur lines, I hope that you'll share your ideas and solutions that led to the no vote. And if we don't have the cuts, then what? The decisions that you make impact real people. We may not be feeling it now, but we're going to feel it in the future and the future of the district. And we're already struggling to retain quality teachers and attract quality people with the salaries that we're able to offer. So I just hope we really look at that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Wills. Okay. Next, I have Jennifer Lorigo, followed by Kirsten Morris.
Good evening, Dr. Ponser-Kamkar, board members, interim superintendent Dr. Macias, district staff. I'm Jennifer Lorigo, current chair of the Burbank Arts and Education Foundation. And on behalf of our board, I'd just like to take a quick minute to extend our sincere thanks to interim superintendent Oscar Macias for his strong support of BAF during a challenging time for the Burbank Unified School District. Since last June, Dr. Macias has communicated clearly and consistently, helping keep stakeholders informed and aligned. He has been a wonderful champion of our work by actively promoting BAEF fundraising events, encouraging community engagement, and raising awareness among teachers and administrators about our grant cycles. His efforts have helped expand access to valuable resources that directly benefit classrooms. His leadership, advocacy, and commitment to strong partnerships have helped ensure that our shared mission of supporting students and enriching educational opportunities remains a priority. Thank you. We'd also like to warmly welcome incoming Superintendent Dr. Thomas McCoy. We look forward to building a strong relationship rooted in communication, collaboration, and a shared vision of enhancing educational opportunities for all BUSD students. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, next I have Kirsten Morris, followed by Maga Huerta? Maggie. Oh, sorry. I don't know why I can't read that today.
Magali. It's a beautiful name.
Oh, there it is. Now I can see it.
Yes. Right, now I can see too. Good evening, members of the Board of Education and District Administration. I'm Kirsten Morris, President of Burbank Council PTA. I stand before you tonight representing over 5,430 members across our city of Burbank. We are here to formally recognize and share our deepest gratitude for the leadership of Dr. Oscar Macias during this past academic year. I will try not to cry, as it is not about me tonight. It is no secret that Burbank Unified School District has navigated significant challenges over the last several years. Last summer, our district faced a moment of profound political and social turmoil. Dr. Macias was placed in an incredibly difficult position, navigating the loss of long-term colleagues while carrying the weight of regaining community trust during a period of personal and professional uncertainty. Despite the weight of those circumstances, Dr. Macias never faltered in his commitment to the children and families of Burbank. As a partner to the PTA, his dedication was unwavering from day one. What stood out the most to our community was not just his presence, but his approach. Dr. Macias led with transparency. So he reached out to us in true partnership, willing to share the why behind difficult decisions. Empowerment. He understood the importance of trusting his staff, building a passionate team of leaders who worked tirelessly to keep our district stable. That's all of you. accessibility. Whether it was through formal meetings or community coffee chats, he ensured that parent voices were not just heard, but valued. We specifically want to highlight the success of the Bridge newsletter. While a new initiative, it served as a vital tool for communication and connection. It represents the very essence of Dr. Macias's tenure, building a bridge between the administration and the living rooms of our families. Dr. Macias, on behalf of Burbank Council PTA, thank you. You prioritize the students of Burbank Unified School District above all else. You led with wisdom, professionalism, and most importantly, heart. We felt supported. We felt heard, and we felt valued. As we look forward toward July 1st, there's a profound sense of relief that our district has finally a permanent path forward. Thank you. And we know that Dr. McCoy will bring extensive experience, a level of expertise that Dr. Macias himself has noted is unprecedented for our district. So we also want to acknowledge the bittersweet nature, though, of this transition. Dr. Macias, you didn't just fill a seat. You provided a steady hand when we felt like the floor was falling from under us. While we are grateful that your wisdom will remain a cornerstone of Burbank Unified School District in your role as Assistant Superintendent, we want the record to show that your leadership this year was not merely a bridge, it was an anchor. We enter the next chapter with confidence, not only because of who's coming in, but because of the solid ground that you have restored beneath our feet. We look forward to working with the entire leadership team in the years to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Morris. I have Maggie Huerta. I have Maggie Huerta, followed by Cheryl.
Sorry, I needed to.
Sometimes
I can't
you gotta.
tell. I was
I get
getting
it.
choked up too. Very, very, very nice. Thank you very much. Well, without further ado, good evening, members of the Board of Education and Board of Directors. As Stephanie said, my name is Magali Huerta, and I'm here not as a BUSD employee. I am here as a parent. Ms. Olson, Ms. Weisberg, nice to see you. Dr. Macias, nice to meet you, finally. Hello. I know, a lot of familiar faces. I would like to begin by reading a few names. Casey, Lily, Daniel, Tiffany, Melinda, Beth, Vivian, Sydney, Lucy, Kristen, Lisa, Shigeko, Ermine, Jackie, and Denise. You might notice that I'm only using their first name, and that is intentional. That's how our students know them, and that's how they build trust, connection, and a sense of safety with the adults on campus. With that said, I would like to share a personal experience. When my now 20-year-old son first joined Burbank Unified School District, he was greeted by Mrs. Maria Gonzalez, someone he still remembers to this day, not because she was in his classroom teacher, but because she was the first person he interacted with on the first day at Disney Elementary, which my husband is a graduate too. We're like 60, third generation. That's out of the front. That moment mattered to my son. And as a young child stepping into a new environment full of uncertainty and nerves, it was Maria who greeted him, guided him, and helped him feel safe. She set the tone for this entire school experience that day, not throughout a lesson plan, but throughout kindness, attentiveness, and care. Maria is a JAR supervisor. Unlike so many others in this role, she represents a group of individuals who are essential to our schools, yet often go unrecognized. And JAR supervisors are the first welcome our children in the morning, the ones who watched over them during recess, lunch, and the ones who help ensure their safety and emotional well-being outside the classroom. And this goes for campus supervisors. We just call them JAR supervisors at elementaries. They build relationships that create trust and provide provide comfort during some of the most important and vulnerable moments of our child's day. I share this story because Maria Gonzalez is not the exception. She is the example of what a JAR supervisor do every single day. I respectfully ask the Board of Education to consider recognizing the campus and JAR supervisors with a dedicated appreciation day, which we don't have in the calendar, just so you know. This small but meaningful gesture would honor the impact they have on our students and acknowledge the important role that they play in our schools and communities. With that said, I would like to take a moment to give special recognition to Dory, Kelly, Leslie, Nora, and especially Shelley. Dr. Macias has likely heard from her a few times now, and that's also part of the reason why I'm here. So thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to bring a little bit of light on someone that we all know. We all see their faces, but unfortunately, sometimes they win. Like in my department, food services, we go unrecognized. Like every single classified employee, I am here to speak on their behalf. As I said, not as a Burbank Unified, not as a food service, but as a parent that every morning when they see that little face and they're like, hi, Miss Leslie, hi, Miss Shirley, they're so happy to see. Thank you very much and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you so much, Ms. Huerta. Next, I have Cheryl, followed by Chandra Collins, and that is my last card after Chandra.
Those are two acts that are hard to follow. Good evening, board members, fellow parents, and community members. My name is Cheryl Saccatelli, and I am the mother of a sixth grader at Luther Burbank Middle School, as well as a Burbank resident. I'm here tonight to advocate for a district-wide change in how Chromebooks are used, managed, and deployed in Burbank Unified, especially at the elementary and middle school levels. I am here representing 10 other parents that have been working with me to share our knowledge on the topic and formulate our request. Thank you very much, as well as 650 other parents and community members who have signed a petition recently urging for a change in how the district is managing Chromebooks. I just want to start by telling you a little bit about what we're seeing, in case you don't see it. At the middle school level, Chromebooks are distracting kids from learning, both academically and socially. Kids are given the opportunity to get on their Chromebook when they're done with their independent class work, and what they're doing is they're rushing through their assignments just so they can get rewarded with a little bit of screen time. Instead of exercising or developing the social connections that we know are so important for them during nutrition and lunch, they're sitting around playing video games. Kids are physically abusing their devices. I've heard stories about them banging them against the walls, throwing them through basketball hoops, taking them apart with screwdrivers. And devices are being used to access inappropriate content. Heard many stories about that. With the nods, I think you have as well. There's a hacker group. There are many hacker groups that are constantly finding ways around the firewall and finding new games and sharing that information. Some of us have gone to our local school administration asking them for help, and we've been told that we should just tell our kids to behave. But unfortunately, I think we're placing too much responsibility on kids that are not developmentally ready to handle this addictive technology in a responsible way. More important than all of this, research has shown us that EdTech is actually working against some of our common education goals. Jared Cooney Horvath is an educator and PhD level neuroscientist. In January, he presented to the U.S. Senate findings from a number of international assessments, large-scale academic studies, and meta-analyses. They concluded that increased classroom screen exposure is associated with weaker learning outcomes, not stronger ones. The takeaway from him was when EdTech enters the classroom, learning goes down. The National Education Policy Center also published a study titled Commercial Digital Platforms Subvert the Key Goals of Public Education. They cited how scores on the NAEP have deteriorated in countries that are using EdTech and the internet for schoolwork. They also cited the problem of private data being collected on students without our consent. Tonight, we are advocating for some common sense remedies like the ones the LAUSD board is scheduled to vote on next week. Some quick wins that we would like to see for the coming school year. One, we'd like to see doing away with the one-to-one Chromebook assignments and instead having that replaced with Chromebook carts at the classroom level. We'd like to see some universal screen time limits, a ban on Chromebooks during recreational time, and a return to pen and paper and an analog-first philosophy. We'd also like to see the formulation of an EdTech advisory group, including teachers and parents, so we can partner and really be intentional, ensuring that EdTech is supporting and advancing our common goals in our kids' education. I have some printouts that I'd love for you to read of Dr. Horvath's testimony. It also has my contact information. We together have been gathering a lot of research and articles on the topic that I'd love to share with you. In the meantime, we're also establishing a local chapter of Schools Beyond Screens to help us in partnering with you on having reasonable limits and an approach to EdTech that works for all of us. Thank you very much for your time and attention. We know you have a lot to balance, and we're looking forward to partnering with you and making this a priority. Have a good night.
Thank you so much, Cheryl. And then last I have Ms. Chandra Collins. And again, that is my last card. Hello, Ms. Collins.
Good evening. My name is Chandra Collins, and I'm a SPED teacher at Washington Elementary School. I'm here tonight to speak about a few issues that I find important. I was going to send an email instead, but I am always encouraging parents to attend these meetings and speak up for what is important for their children. Thus, I have chosen to be here, even though I hate public speaking. First, I am impressed and motivated to be here by the parent who shared their petition to reduce the use of Chromebooks in schools. All three of my daughters went to Washington, Luther, and Burroughs. One is about to graduate from UC Santa Cruz, one from Burroughs, and the youngest is in 11th grade. Before COVID, I think they only used Chromebooks at upper elementary school to write the final drafts of written assignments. Some of the best teachers my daughters ever had include ones that focused on listening skills, taught explicit skills by example, used hands-on learning, and even instilled good note-taking and study skills. Some of these teachers included Washington teachers like Mrs. White, Mrs. Lincoln, Mrs. Kim, Mrs. Hernandez, and Mr. Michaels. At Luther, Mrs. Van Coten for history, Mrs. Grimaldi for science, and Mrs. Harney for English and ASB. And at Burroughs, Mrs. Knoop for anatomy, Mrs. Rincon for ASL, Mrs. Clark for photography, and Mr. Myers for English. My daughters loved learning in their classes, and their passion for teaching was obvious. However, after the students returned after COVID, I feel that some teachers relied too heavily on online learning, especially in middle and high school. Some required students to use their Chromebook daily in class to do online assignments. Most of us went to school when our teachers stood at the board for the entire period, writing and drawing and teaching so we could understand. So it was disheartening to hear some stories from my daughters. We all know and have read the research of how screen time negatively affects children and adolescent brain development, including eye strain, poor sleep, and an increase in mental health and behavior issues. So imagine my frustration as they continue to lug their outdated Chromebooks in their backpacks with no lockers. Like the district purchased an extra set of textbooks for middle and high school students to use in the classroom. Shouldn't there just be Chromebooks to use in each classroom as well? However, only for certain and appropriate assignments. Furthermore, when these Chromebooks, which were originally supposed to provide equal access during COVID, glitch, break, or stop working, especially after being in backpacks with no cases for years with students who go outside, go to sports, and have no lockers, the district asks them to pay for them. There should be a timeline after which the family is not responsible for their workability. My youngest daughter is in 11th grade and received her Chromebook in 5th grade. Most of us adults haven't even had our cell phones for that long because the software and hardware both get outdated and overused, and that is if we take the best of care of them. Even though BUSC has banned YouTube on these devices, most students can find ways to get to other websites that are not related to school. Obviously, I know the benefits of students learning computer skills and using technology properly to do research and practice writing. These are essential skills to prepare students for college and jobs, but it is the everyday use of these devices that is worrisome, especially at the lower grade levels and in specific classes like math. Please re-examine how Chromebooks are used in our district. In regards to agenda item 13M, I work at Washington and know the amazing deaf and hard of hearing program that exists in our district. My eldest was a part of it and was designated bilingual in ASL at graduation. I also know the legalities involved, but the increase in expenditures to total over $2 million on interpreters is a shocking number in the midst of financial issues. It is disheartening and demoralizing to be told as both a parent and an employee that the budget needs to be continually cut each year, especially with regards to staff and schools. Like the behavior aids in our special education classes, perhaps the district needs to continue working to hire district interpreters with a motivating pay scale instead of outsourcing interpreters to agencies, especially with the program at CSUN. Last month, when I spoke about autism acceptance, I also mentioned the change this year in job descriptions and responsibilities of the elementary school wellness and behavior specialist and the behavior interventionist. Both positions are imperative to the well-being and positive social development of students at the elementary schools. This means from age 4 and up, prime years for healthy social emotional learning. Simply explain to those of you who are unfamiliar with this change, the reorganization of the positions for budgeting purposes and clear oppositional feedback from our school community. These two positions are being pulled in too many directions and with too little time to make as big of a positive impact. The behavior interventionist used to be able to focus on special education issues. This is her area of expertise. And our wellness and behavior specialist is only at our school 1 day per week instead of 5. On that day, she has to focus on a few students who have attendance issues and is less able to help with behavior support on the playground and social skills groups across all grade levels. To sum it up, our playground is often full of issues. Some classrooms need extra support with challenging student behaviors. Without our wellness and behavior specialist being there full-time, the issues are increasing. She literally taught them social emotional lessons using curriculum. Teachers do not have the time to do this regularly when they are teaching and testing on an endless loop. In summary, I would again implore you to continue to listen to parents. I would also ask that you truly take the time to meet with different BUSD stakeholders and ask how staff impacts students and families before changing or merging job descriptions or cutting positions that have lasting negative impacts. If your goal is to teach every student to be an independent, responsible young adult, then all of these things need to be at the forefront of decisions, including budgetary ones. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Collins. Okay. Staff response, Dr. Macias?
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you to all our speakers. Just kind of lump in a couple items about technology. I think we are all taking a lot of notes and reflecting heavily. We will be doing the work. It will be beyond intentional. We have a new director of technology, so we'll be doing the physical auditing of our Chromebooks. The idea of going to Chrome carts in classrooms is something that we've already been in discussion with. So those are the things that the team has been working on, that we're getting feedback. But again, as I mentioned before, we're going to get the feedback of all our partners involved in this process and be very deliberate in our approach. So thank you for everyone who has spoken up and given contact information. Please expect a call from me or an email, and we'll get a conversation going as well. Mr. Sarna, thank you for sharing best practices. That's always an important thing that we are always open to hear and share with each other. I know Ms. Markison here, Director of Secondary Ed, will make sure that we share that across the board with all our school sites, just to learn from each other. That's always a fantastic thing, so thank you for that. To Ms. Huerta, quick story. I accidentally began my career as an educator, as a campus supervisor. George K. Porter Middle School in Granada Hills. I did that part-time as a student at Cal State Northridge when I was an undergrad, believe it or not, in criminology. I was destined, I thought, to be either an FBI agent or a lawyer. And lo and behold, my time as a campus supervisor brought me to the world, and my profession, that everything just wrapped up to that. But it was because of my time as a campus supervisor. So I have fully supported of that. The work our campus supervisors, our supervisors do, absolutely know it. That's where I began my love for students and the relationship factor. It's not just the education part, it's the fact that we need to connect with students on a daily basis, and that's how I got connected to my world of education. So you have my full support in that. I'll work with the board to see how we can explore celebrating all our employees that take on those positions. To my friends at the Burbank Arts and Education Foundation, and I'll lump this in with Council PTSA, with Kirsten and Jen, the space that you provided me, beyond connecting with you and your organizations, just to have authentic conversations, meant the world to me, and I hope they continue. You remind me of the importance of how important it is to connect with our community in every single partner. I won't mention someone's name right now, but someone messaged me this morning and talked about how, in specific to last night's event at HSA, where he said that he referenced the event, that everyone was hanging out, and it felt like family. And I'm looking at you, yes. Dr. Hasty mentioned that, by the way. I'm calling him out. But it's true. The Arts and Ed Foundation, Council PTA, PTAs at high schools, our partnership with our labor partners, BTA, CSEA, BASA, you name it, to our board, community members. This is a very, very unique, special community. And thank you for your partnership. Thank you for that space. I look forward to that. I want to wrap up with one last statement. We, as a leadership team, spent a lot of time together today with Dr. McCoy. We had a cabinet leadership meeting with him, and I will share with the community how in just initial conversations, an initial meeting, I'm excited and motivated by the heart that this man brings to us in our district and his leadership and vision already. I would expect nothing but continued strength and partnership with our partners and our groups, with our BTA members and CSEA and our community at large. So with that, I thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Macias. I have a couple of comments, then I'll let my board members chime in. But I think just overall, this was a really productive public comment session. And I don't just say that because we weren't getting yelled at, but just because, though it's true. But what was really helpful, right, was that people were bringing resources, bringing ideas, bringing ways that they thought we could improve, and not just pointing at problems, right? I used to joke, like, it's kind of fun to be a problem finder, but it's a lot harder to be a problem solver, right? And so I really appreciate folks coming and sharing resources and thoughts and ideas and context for a lot of the issues that we see. And so thank you for that. And of course, for sharing your kind words about Dr. Macias and all of the amazing work that he's done over the past only 10 months, if you can believe it. I think, for the folks who gave us their materials, thank you, Mr. Fastante. I hope you will reach out to staff with what you talked about, because it sounds pretty unbelievable. As you heard us talk about in agenda items for future agendas, that's kind of already in motion, but I want to pull all of that in because I was trying to capture it all as I was writing, and I don't think I did. Though it sounds like Dr. Weisberg potentially did. I think, Ms. Collins, one of the things that I would like to ask for as you were talking about, especially the new structure with the behavior interventionists and our wellness and behavior specialists, is that change is now about a year old. And so it might be worthwhile understanding kind of how that change has been and what we've learned over the past year. I think we've talked about bringing back kind of just our alternative ed piece and how the SOAR program is going, but that might be folded into that report of just how our behavior structure, intervention structure has changed and what we've learned. The other thing that doesn't sound like I need to ask for is this yard supervisor resolution. And Miss Maria is very close to my heart. And when I see her at the gate tomorrow morning, I'm going to ask her if she knows you came and talked about her.
I don't think she remembers who I am because my son graduated about.
She probably knows. She is very special. All of our yard supervisors are very special, but she also holds a...
Her and the audits have been there, I think, for over 20 years at
Yep.
Disney. It's a tiny little school.
Yep.
My
She's...
husband graduated from there, my son, and now my nephews, my great nephew. So as I said a third generation at Disney. So
She is incredibly special, and to see her smiling face every morning, welcoming children into school. And, you know, it's an elementary school, so kids sometimes are not having their best days. There are sometimes tears, and she knows how to get them in the door and get them ready to take on the day and learn. And so she is just the best. And just the last thing I'll say is a couple folks had comments on the Alfred Interpreting contract. We're going to talk about that when we get to it, but we're getting to it because we brought it back from last week, because we had a lot of the same questions that folks have had. And so staff has brought back a report to try to answer some of those for us, because we had a lot of the same alarm that you did about just the increases and how do we do this differently, et cetera, et cetera. So again, we'll talk about it when we get there, but just to flag in case you don't maybe stay around all the way till 13M and want to come back to it later, that we'll have a robust discussion when we get there. So anything else from my colleagues? Dr. Weisberg.
Thanks to everybody. A couple of quick things. Mr. Fasante, thank you so much. It was great to hear both the library board and here. I'm also going to reach out to you about speaking to people at the school where I teach, so stay tuned. Miss Isabella, I will admit that I have volunteered at Burroughs, but not at Burbank High. That will change. You will see me, and I'm sure I will make many faces of horror as I look around and see what I will trip. We all know I'll trip. I will. We'll talk about it more, but something that we did bring up at the board meeting when we talked about this issue was the need to have a clear set of priorities and a timeline for our bond projects. I do want to highlight that I think you're absolutely right that, you know, by the time it gets to us, we should all be kind of on the, like, we should have read it, looked through it, and been like, woo. But there was a lack of communication, and that happens because we're still navigating the sort of ins and outs of our bond management, right? So I just want to echo that. I want to say that I'm sorry that you feel as though your advocacy didn't do its work and you have to redo it. And I acknowledge that that's a very real feeling. And I look forward to having future conversations about this item, but I wanted to acknowledge that, and I will be on the lookout for updates so I can sign up. Thanks to Mr. Sarna. I do want to highlight quickly, though, that Muir isn't the only middle school doing really phenomenal work in regards to innovative ways of approaching behavior. I know Huerta and Luther are also doing fantastic work. This doesn't diminish what Muir does, but I do want to highlight that Luther and Huerta are also doing amazing things, including they're already on their way to getting Chromebook carts in the classrooms at Huerta. So high fives to them. Thank you to everybody from BAF and from PTSA. Ms. Huerta, thank you so much for your advocacy for our amazing yard supervisors and our campus supervisors. You'll know that a couple times this year we've added things. It is not a comprehensive list. So Arab American Heritage, which we're doing tonight, was added last year. So we want to be able to celebrate as many people and groups as we possibly can. And something that I'd like to talk about moving forward in meetings is how we highlight different positions at each one of our schools at every meeting so that we can better help our community know just how many people it takes to make our schools as phenomenal as they are. And this is another great example of that. And so are our food service, amazing food service employees. Thank you to everybody, the whole group who stood and rose about Chromebooks and tech use. I'm really looking forward to this conversation. If you've been to board meetings before, it's something I've talked about quite a bit. And as a middle school teacher, care about deeply. Something that Mr. Festante said that I wrote down is we've given our students ed tech without tech ed. And I did a lot of emphatic head nods when you said that. I don't know if you saw, but I was emphatically nodding. So this is something that I am going to continue advocating for, and I think we're all up here ready to do some work about that. And then Leslie, I wanted to echo President Ponser Kamkar's request for a report back on how the changes to behavioral wellness specialists have gone. I think it's extremely important. And that's all I got. Thank you.
Anybody else? Ms. House. Oh, sorry.
Thank you to everyone who came tonight. And I am so energized by the idea of us being leaders in media literacy and technology. And it's one of the reasons why I think a committee right now could be so powerful, because you all shared tonight that there are brains and ideas. Even like my own history with ed tech, I feel so anxious to start doing this work. And so I'm just really excited that you all came and are showing up on this. And I just look forward to next steps. But truly, I don't want to reiterate for the thank yous for tonight.
Ms. Cano?
I would like to thank everybody that came tonight. For sure, definitely want to thank PTSA and BAEF. I did want to just address and actually thank, I'm going to be honest, I got a lot of letters from all you that are talking about the intentional use of technology. And as a middle school teacher who's quite a devoted digital person, initially it was kind of like, whoop. And I've had to do a lot of real thinking about this and go back to when I first started using technology in the classroom back in around like 1999. And see that I remember when we first started, and I was out at UCLA, and the ed school was coming in and starting to do research and saying, how do they process it? And even I remember one of the guys in the ed school was actually doing like watching eyes and how the eyes were going on the screen. So the idea of understanding that media literacy has been something that England's been looking at. The UK has been doing it for like the 1930s. And so this idea that really, if we have all you guys, and like you said, Mr. Vestante, we are the media capital. This idea of really addressing, because when I look, and I listen to me because I'm a digital person, repeatedly, we don't have really set specific standards for media literacy or the use of media. So it's something that definitely is always, for me, a hugely important thing. So I thank you for bringing this, again, looking at a different side and hearing a parent's perspective, because I look at it from a teacher's point of view. It's my tool. But as a parent, it's different. It's very different, because my daughter's grown up. But even still, it's just, I do appreciate you bringing that. So I do look forward to, as everyone else here, that idea of us, the meeting of the minds and coming together and all the research we're going to see. Thank you.
Dr. Kanian?
I think my colleagues have covered a lot of the areas, but when it comes to technology, I do like what LA Unified is going to be voting on. But I think also we have to be, when we talk about this topic, it's not so much the technology, it's what's happening and how you're limited in the essence of going back to the foundations of education. Study after study shows that technology is great, but also what we're seeing, and I can testify as a father of a 14-year-old, that, it's not being really amplified in terms of preparing our students to go out there in the competitive markets out there. Technology has become so solvent now that you can get an app for pretty much everything and pretty much fix any issues you have if you want to. So I think this is a balance, and it's difficult because we have people talk about technology all the time, but also there are people who want to go back and talk about the basics, things that really make a difference now in the competitive markets out there. And I see this all the time for a lot of Burbank students who are coming now to college, Glendale, my students, Business 101 students. I see the transition in terms of lack of even basic things that would be necessary in the job market today. So I really want to tip my hat to you, what you're proposing. I think it's something in making, and more reasons that we will also need a Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation, because I've seen ideas like this come up in where I'm currently at with some of these applications, limiting some of this stuff, but also looking at how you limit it in the essence of you're not really losing the basic skills that you need in the field. So thank you for bringing that up. And just interest of time, I do want to thank Ms. Huerta. So, some of you know I've already shared this. I came here, I was 17, and the lunch lady, the security person, and the yard person were my friends because they spoke my language, they understood my concerns and struggles. So sometimes we forget that to a lot of us, personally, at least my personal experience, those were my heroes. Those were people every day I would talk to, and I would look forward to seeing them. So I definitely think not only having that day, but also reminding people that to a lot of students, those are very important people. And to this day, if I see them, because it was difficult. You're in a new country, you don't speak the language, your friends are not here, and all of a sudden you find commonality and people that you can talk to. So thank you for bringing this up. I know that we already talked about it, but I'd love to see this happening soon. So thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. Let's move to reports to the board. We have our Measure ABC Bond Program update. Dr. Hasty.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay. Okay, first I want to test. Natalie, can you hear us okay?
I can hear you guys, yeah. I mean, hardly, but I can.
Hello, Natalie.
Okay. Great, thanks. Good evening, board members. I'm happy to present to you an update on Measure ABC per many requests. Also, online is Natalie McCann. She is our client management team member from Key Analytics. So she's going to be doing some of these slides. And I kind of want to just give us some preface as to where we are in general and how we came to this presentation at this point. So I think it's important to know the timeline of how bonds work. And again, I'm coming in late in the game, so I want to make sure if we don't know, I want to make sure that what we're doing is a little bit backwards planning, and you guys should know the process as to where we should be now. Typically, we vote, we get our bond, we got our $480 million. We don't get $480 million, we get a series. We get our first series. That first series is $80 million. And so at that point, we would put our committee together. We would look at bond program management teams, and or if we're going to do it in-house or with bond program management. My experience has mainly been a mixture where we've seen bond program managers come in. We've seen in-house where we do some split funding here and there, or we hire in-house for people to run the bond program. But with that, you look at the 80 million, and then you look at your facility master plan. And so our facility master plan is $1.5 billion. It's this massive plan, and it's this pie in the sky thing. So we would look at our projects, we'd look at our priorities, and then we say, well, percentage-wise, let's put some logic to this on how we're going to break up that first $80 million budget-wise. But first, you got to look at contingency. So you would take 10% off the top for contingency in case things go wrong. And much like a remodel in your own home, if you ever had a contractor, you take that 10% just in case. And that drops us already down in about 71 million. And then you would take your percentages based off that, and you would break it up accordingly. So understand, what we did, some of this planning has not happened. So what I've been doing is going through all the board agendas. I went through all the expenditures for 25, 26 so far. And so what you're going to see is a culmination of that, and I'll get through each slide and explain that. And essentially, we're formulating where that budget is and how that's going. The good news is the work we've done to date has been great. I can't say we have great project managers. We have people on the ground that are getting this job done, and they've done an incredible job. The other good news is the main project we have focused on is a roofing project, and you're going to hear me come back to that a lot. Looking at $26 million about last year, and then going into this year, it's going to be roughly about $40 to $50 million project, and that's a roofing project that hits all the priorities we really need. But the more important thing too in this case is when you talk about hard and soft costs, that's the other piece. You break everything up, 80% hard costs, 20% soft costs. Well, now we got a roofing project, which usually is about 90% hard costs. So the majority of the money we've spent to date is we're well within that threshold. So I want to kind of so I want to make sure you guys are understanding where we are at now and how we're going forward. And I'm going to get more into the slides, but I also want to bring in Natalie to speak to our next slide that really gives us the money and overview. Natalie, you want to take slide 2?
I can. I'm not seeing your slide, so I'm actually going to share mine so that we're all looking at the same thing.
Could we actually get the presentation? There you go.
There we
Thank
go.
you.
Okay, it's up there. Can you see it now?
Let's see. Let me stop sharing and give it a try. I'm not, but this is what I'm going to do. So if you don't mind, I'm going to share this, and then you can let me know if you guys can see it.
We see the slide, the second slide with the pie chart.
Okay.
We're good.
Wonderful. Hi, everyone. As Dr. Hasty mentioned, my name is Natalie Mahan. I'm with Key Analytics, and we work very closely with the district to help, track all of their capital facility funds as well as reporting on the bond funds. Specifically for Measure ABC, just a quick overview of the 2024 measure that the voters approved. Of the total amount that was approved, the first series, which is Series A, was issued for $80 million. So we do have an additional $378,205,000 of future issuances that will be forthcoming. But for right now, we have that initial series to be able to, put towards projects. For the combined revenue that's generated for this bond, in addition to the fund itself, we have the interest from that is also allowed to be used for projects. So that's a great way to maximize the sale of the bond. So combined right now for the generated Measure ABC fund total is $80,447,715. Of that, the district has already paid vendors on projects $33,759,250, which leaves about $46,688,465 of additional balance.
And I want to jump in one quick thing. So keep in mind, this is coming from our financial system. So the numbers I'm going to show at later slides is including what we've approved as a board, but those haven't hit the books yet.
Exactly. Now, this number itself, it could be available funds for actual projects, or it could be committed to existing projects that are already underway. So I just want to make sure to let you know that. As far as the fund balances for all capital facility funds, for Fund 21, which is the bond fund, we have 49 million and some change. And then for Fund 25, which is developer fees, there's an additional $12 million, so that we can combine them together for 61,152,003 that's going to be available for projects.
And I want to jump in one really quick, sorry. With that 49, you see the Measure S. We're roughly around 1.6 million that is carried over from previous, but there's what we're going to plan on doing, and I'll mention this later. We can move the expenditures that we've spent on the infrastructure technology project. They're allowable to be used into the leftover. We can zero out that money, and that's the plan with that. Go ahead.
Absolutely. And on this total, there are currently $19 million that have been committed to, encumbrances that are open. So that's definitely committed to those open projects, which remains the unencumbered remaining amount is $41,720,729 for right now. Okay.
Okay, so I don't know if we can do this, I'll let you do the slides, Natalie. Are you good with that?
Sure, if you let me know, I'll go ahead and.
So
switch
I don't
through
need to
them.
get too into the details for the priorities, but I want to make sure when we're talking about priority 1A, 1B, we have our infrastructure safety, our access and equity, and then of course priority 2 is that learning and modernization. Priority 3, that gets into the program enhancement. One thing to always consider, I think this is where some confusion does happen, and it needs to be articulated clearly to everybody as we bring these projects to play, into place. The roofing project hits multiple priorities. So it's hard to say we're going straight for this priority and we're only going to do this priority because we have a really essential project here that is going to hit a few of them. So that's something that as we bring more items to you to get board feedback on how we want to rank these projects and what is the order of importance and timelines, then we would get your input. Now, priority will play a part in that, but it's not the one definitive piece of it. So I want to make sure that's clear. But as you get these roofing projects or projects, you will see priority and how they hit both of them, and that will help inform your discussion moving forward. Next slide. Okay, so this is a bit of a summary. Now, the 19 million you see on here isn't going to be, those are expenditures that also could have happened in 24-25. All I'm doing is giving you a summary of those notice of completion. So if you were to ask, what have we done so far? Technically, we've taken to board this many notice of completions. You see the 9 for the roofing projects. We got 2 in other projects. We got 11 total. Total of 19 million that we have actually closed out for projects. So again, are we making progress? Yes, absolutely. Next slide, please. And then as we go into change orders, this is just something good to check in on periodically. It's not always going to be a defining factor for success or failure, but it's something you want to look at, and then we should be able to justify. Right now, we have about 3.4 million in reductions, and that would be those deductive change orders. That can change, and it will, because right now I have a change order that we're going to bring for the next board meeting for the tech infrastructure of about 205,000, because we have to get a different size cabinet for the switches. Because when we did the original walkthrough, I wasn't there, but that wasn't taken into account. And so those are just the little things that we should be able to explain and be able to tell that story. Go to the next slide, please. As we look at the board-approved project summary, and I just want to take us through this a little bit, so make sure we understand the slide. So as we look at the project on the top left, and let's start with the roofing, we're putting the main priority in there. Some of them do hit multiple priorities, but you'll see that down lower. But again, how many items have we brought to board regarding that project? So right now we're at 20 plus, just going through all the agenda items. Total, approved cost, and I said approved cost for 25-26. Remember, we spent 26 million last year. So we're at 15.3, and then you can kind of see I put some key insights in there. I don't need to explain them all, but that gives you a gist of, how we're doing as we go down the list. So we're looking at ADA. We've had 2 come to board. We're at about 234,000, and then those are just the different projects that we brought to board for approval when we've asked, you've seen those the front entry items in those areas, and then we have the athletics and softball field. We brought 5 different items to board. We had some surveys. I think we have one today. We're going to be bringing for the softball field, but that's roughly about 1.35 million in approvals that we brought to board thus far, and then we have the planning surveys, CEQA, all the different ones. You'll see about 360 million that fall into different categories. And then program management, that includes key analytics there. And so that's roughly, for this first year, if you remember, it's usually 85,000, but we had a 20,000 additional cost for startup. And then after that, it's 85,000 per year. And then, of course, there's some others there that were at 54,000. But then again, just gives you as far as what we're approving to date, year to date, and the approximate costs via the priority and the project. We'll go to the next slide. Okay, so if we look at the year-to-date expenditures, and again, and this is just looking at a different way of what we've actually spent, you see here for the tech, there was, I think in January, that's when I first saw the warrant report, I saw the 3.9 million. That was for the work of infrastructure for the tech infrastructure that we're trying to get finished this summer. It has to get done. And again, what are we doing there? We'll be doing the data center, putting new switches in. Now we have to get those cabinets, access points. There'll be some mild cabling here and there, but for the most part, our cabling's pretty good. And then, of course, total, when we're looking at that, 5.8, it could go up, things just happen. I always say, let's approximate this. One thing, I've heard the conversation around Chromebooks, but we are right now looking at quotes and proposals for what I would call a phase 2 proposal. And we have a lot of Chromebooks that are going to expire, I believe, in 2030, and we're kind of falling off a cliff at that time. The Chromebooks we need are going to be for testing. And so we have asked for a quote for Chromebooks, and right now the quote is roughly around 3.1 million for roughly 5,500 Chromebooks. We are also going to order carts. So there's a lot to that. I'm working directly with our new director of technology, James Avery, and of course, Dr. Andrews as well on this. And we will be bringing some of this to our tech committee next week when we talk to them. So these are items that we will have to talk about, but we are going to need to seriously consider because we will need some level of Chromebook in students' hands come the beginning of school next year. Another thing about that, and I'm throwing it out there now, we have a May 14th deadline because the quote we got, once we get past May 14th, they cannot guarantee the price they're giving us as of today, or what we would bring to board May 7th. So there's just these little timeline items that we would have to potentially we got to bring this, we got to do it, but here's the reason, and I want to give you a heads up. You have a question if you want, yeah. Go ahead.
No, let's go all the way through it.
Okay. We'll come back to the Chromebooks because I know it's a hot topic, but we're up against a deadline there. Okay, so other than that, the other thing to consider with the increase in the infrastructure costs, I just mentioned that 1.6, we can take some of those expenditures and put it, so that will decrease the cost as well. But again, we're talking about a phase 2 in infrastructure alone that would go into multiple series, and I'll get more to that. As we go down here, though, we see the roofing project. We're at a priority 1, year-to-date expenditures at 2.5, but we have the summer projects coming, so we're looking at a potential 18 to 22 million coming into the end of the year. And as we go, there was some solar there, and as far as large ones, these are mainly small ones. We can go to the next slide. Okay, so for next slide, please. Is that right? Yeah. Okay. Measure ABC. So this is just our budget at a snapshot, and I want the really key piece of this because as we're winding down, and you saw the 40 million we have in funding, but we've approved a lot too. So as these things start happening, we really got to think about where we're going to land at the end of the year. I'm projecting roughly we're going to be around the 20 million, depending on what hits, left of the 80 at the end of the year. So we really got to start thinking about when our next series is. So this takes us through the projects and really projecting on what series they may land in. And again, this is all subject to change. As we bring updates, we bring new potential projects, or there's things that do change throughout the process that can also change what we move up in the priority list. So in the first one you see, obviously our roofing is going to happen, most likely all be done within our first series. So that's a key piece. Technology infrastructure. Now phase 1 of this, and that is with the basic, that 5.1 million total, that should be done in series 1. And you can kind of go down the list. We had solar, that repairs we did, that was already completed in series 1. And then we're doing a lot of design here for professional services, and those are series 1 things because you get a lot of design, and that's where a big challenge. I think people see these projects, and when they hear design, they talk about surveys, they think we're automatically starting, and that's not the case. We have to pay that little bit of money, and sometimes it's not a little bit. We have one on today that's going to be $50,000, but we have to get there to find out true cost, and then that will also inform how we prioritize the projects as we move forward as well. And as you go down, program management, and this is something I'm going to bring up again. We really got to think about, we do have some salaries and benefits with our project managers. There's another slide on here that's going to show about 230 of year-to-date costs, but we're going to have to really consider that, and that's on my last slide, about our program organization of the bond program in general and what is needed, because this is a $480 million bond program that really needs serious support. But with that comes an additional cost that will, So, and then we go down the ADA. I don't need to explain every one, but you see what we're doing here. We're trying to really start thinking about where things are falling in the series. And again, if we want football fields at both high schools, because we walked it this week, these are things we're going to bring back to you in the next board meeting to give you a menu of items to consider, because we really need to have a discussion about where we're going to rank these. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is more of a project update, and I'm not going to go through every line, and if you do have a question about it, that's why I do have Rob and Malay here, because they definitely have the real project insight. But I want to just go right down to that concession stand and talk about it. The good news is, and if Robin starts shaking her head, let me know, because I'll have her come up and speak to it. It's a bit fortuitous. We do not need, in the design for one of the softball fields, we had a concession stand. We don't really need it. So what we can do is have that same architecture design, do the design for the one we talked about, and include it in the design cost. Okay, so that would be, and so it will be included in the same cost. Am I speaking correctly, Robin? Yes. Okay. So that's something I want to just be really clear with the board. We were able to take the design of the concession stand that, again, it was voted no at the last meeting, but we can include it in existing costs right now for architecture and design. And then that way, we have to do that to find out what it's actually going to cost. And I know there was some talk around 600,000, but we really won't know, and we don't want to do that until we get that design done. But to do that is going to be included in a already board-approved cost. Okay? Yes, thank you. And that's just one of the project updates. That's the one I really wanted to focus on that one. So I'm going to go to the next slide. And this is very important. I want to make sure as we're talking about this, because with the timing of series, we just went through a bond refunding, and we did great. We got our AA rating. We ended up getting 2.4 million savings to the taxpayers for these old bonds we refunded. But every time you push that button, you're doing a credit rating, and so that your credit can be impacted. And when you are going to lend more money, and that part of that rating we just did, they were asking, when are we going to do our next series? So these are all connected with one another. So you got to be careful, because we only have a certain ceiling of lending we can do. And I'll keep it very simple. It's just like this big. And once we're at the edge, we can't go over that. So we got to time our series right. So if you look at where we're at and where we're going, we really got to think, and I have this $20 million because I think that's where we're going to end up, but it's timeline of projects and what we want to move up and where we want to do things, and we'll get to more leveraging of other dollars. But if you see this, if you got to go down the list, you can kind of see where we're looking at where things are going to land. But I get down to the conclusion in the bottom row. Beginning of early 2027, really January, but no later than fall, we're going to have to issue that next series. And again, hopefully we're in a good place. I mean, there's things we can't always predict, but we just want to make sure we're timing up all the projects so we don't have any stoppage, or we can at least leverage funds along the way to get to that point to get the timing of the second series in place. So just keep that in mind. If you have questions about that, I can speak more to it. This gets to my next slide, and I do want to talk about this, but I did say, Natalie, if you want to talk about a little bit more about developer fees.
Yeah, absolutely. So in addition to what's in the bond measure fund balance, we do have, $12 million of developer fees in Fund 25 that can also be leveraged as a contingency or a backup for projects that can apply for. So I know the district is doing a great job of trying to balance, which funds they're spending and leveraging the ones that can be applicable to projects, and we do have some to pull from. So I think this adds more to that.
Thank you. And so I wanted to put that there because as we're looking at winding down and we're going into that next series, if there are some gaps, we really got to think about how we can use some developer fees along the way. And I know that I've heard previous board discussions around, and it's like, we can't touch them. We can. We just got to find out how. There's different ways
Right.
you can package the use of the developer fees into bigger projects. And I'll just give you a very draft example. So if we're doing a softball field, we would pay for this amount, these parts of it with the bond money, but you can have sections of that project that could be covered with the developer fees. And it's a bit of a gray area, but we can definitely do it, and districts are doing it, and there's a lot more leeway than ever before due to declining enrollment at districts, and these developer fees are still going up because people are still building, things are still growing. And those are things we can bring back as we look at a roofing project, or not, I won't say a roofing project, but more like the softball project. And we could look at, we'll do the softball project at the high school, but we could do we could add the football field to the project and possibly do the football field with the developer fees. There's just things like that, but we would get these all legally vetted. We'd bring it to the board in a way and it'd be packaged a certain way to make sure it's compliant. So that's the strategy. And as we look at, say we're going to do a project that involves a security piece, we can put that security piece and put that in the developer fees and leverage it that way. So you're not paying it all out of the bond. And there's another fund I do want to talk a little bit about Fund 40, but right now I will talk more about that during the RDA resolution because we are not putting that in here because we need to protect that right now. Okay. Next slide, please. Okay, so I can actually, I'm going to go straight to this. Just kind of gives you, the next slide just shows you all the slides we're going to go over, but I'm going to keep this quick here. Next slide, please. So just the plan ahead, we're going to continue to strengthen the program management and oversight. That is a key piece. I just, really establishing and procuring, just getting, just really looking at the reorganization and how we're doing this and what are the processes in place. And as we do that, we'll kind of bring you guys along. And that will be more of a discussion with SFOC. And I've had requests from the SFOC about, what is the routing and how do things happen and who, the controls in place. And those are pieces we're actively looking at and we're addressing and as part of our plan. Next slide, please. And of course, continue to work with key analytics, looking at the financial planning. This presentation is heavy in this plan right now, what we're doing. So I think if you ask me, what does that look like? Well, exactly this. Really strategizing, working with key analytics and our team to make sure our dollars are stretching as much as possible. Another key piece of this are the King Consulting, the OPSC, the reimbursements. I can't speak to them yet because it's going to be a long time, but we could get some reimbursements for some of this construction that would then go into Fund 40, and then we could start also using that money as well. But that takes time, and we never know when we're going to get it. So, but those are some of those pieces we would talk about. Next slide, please. And then, of course, as always, the internal controls, and I will speak more to that, audit readiness. We're already working with purchasing. I'm working with David about looking at doing an RFP for auditors in general. We're on the third year of our current audit contract with Clifton Larson, so we want to put it out there. And the practice, best practice, it's not required by law, but it's a best practice, is to have a different auditor than you have for the bond, for a performance audit for a bond, and then you'd have an auditor for your financial audit. That's typically the practice you would do. We have, something we're going to get better at, we'll do. But right now we're going through an RFP and we're going to be looking for a selection of auditors to bring in and doing that. And that's professional services. Technically, we don't have to go to bid, but we're going to do it just to get as many people and see what our options are. Okay, next slide. Maximum, again, I already talked about this, the external funding, we're talking about developer fees. We're going to continue to really put projects together to see how we can put these dollars to work. Next slide, please. And then, of course, as we're doing it now, governance and transparency is key, keeping the SFOC running. I think Crystal, our team, they've been doing a great job keeping these, being available, working with the team. One thing I will say about Kristen Morris, it's been great. We've had our bond committee members on our walks with us, and they've just been able to see what the work is going on and how it's happening. I think that has been very beneficial for the group, for us as well, because we're getting real-time feedback, and it's really helping us out a lot. Next slide, please. And really going into more of a long-term, we have our facility master plan, which is right now it's the long-term plan, but as we mold that, because it does change, it needs change, and then we would really keep correlation with that, but also with our needs as well, and then being able to say, when are we going to need the third series? When are we going to need the fourth series? And that's indicative of what we've been presenting in this presentation as well. So I'll get to the final slide, and I really want to talk about these areas. Next steps. You should be getting a regular presentation, whether it be short, simple, but just, what are the items? Where are we? This is a bit of a shot in the arm because we're doing a lot of backwards work here, but once we, get things rolling, it'll be better. However, I'm already working with Dr. McCoy on this, really assessing the organizational structure of the program itself. We do have project managers. We need to consider our new staff coming in. We have a director of technology. We have our new director of facilities who does have a lot of bond experience. We have a budget supervisor starting on Monday that came off a project working with capital projects. So we have a lot of in-house people that are going to be coming in that have this knowledge. So looking at how we can possibly leverage that along with the program management and just looking at the organizational structure in general to say, here's the flow, and here are the people that are attached to the bond program. And of course, making sure that we're not fragmented. I put it in there, the objective. So you guys are getting a clear story. When these projects come to on the agenda, what, again, the priority, but you really know the bigger picture and what project they're falling in and what they are materializing into. Secondly, looking at that program management support, we really need to think about contracting. And that's something Dr. McCoy and I are actively talking about, bringing in a real program manager contract. And so we are going to be looking at that and working to see who's out there, and we'll be bringing that back as well. And then, of course, looking at the in-house fiscal support, there's two sides of this. So either we can look at split funding some existing positions, or some districts bring in a full-on bond-funded director of bond, like construction. And that is, I'm already looking over job descriptions. So that's something that just be ready. We'll be bringing that or something like that, or some suggestions. Also mixed with, I would call it like a fiscal compliance officer. I know that sounds a little crazy, but it's just an idea because we need someone who's really overseeing the controls of every piece, like knowing that when everybody knows their tier of signature and approval, and we're making sure object codes are right, and they're working hand in hand with key analytics. Right now, we have people that are stepping up and helping out, and they're learning on the fly, and that's great. But we need a person that actually that's their job. And again, they would be bond funded. The director would be, so this is going to be at an added cost. We'd be bringing some cost approximations as well as to what that would mean. I'm going to stop there and take questions. Yes, I'm sure there's a few.
All right, so we're going to take
Hopefully I can answer them all.
Behave yourselves. Who wants to start?
If you go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, first, right now, with current world situation, do you project that this current war is going to up the costs that we already have?
That's a big question, but it already is upping lots of cost.
Okay, so
that's all I can say.
in terms of how much higher it's going to get.
So when the facility master's plan was done, I know at one point we had a 30%. There was some interesting cost escalation they put into it. Mm-hmm. Most people put 10% cost escalation, but overall it's been 20% since COVID. Annually. So these are all just with what's going on. Is it going to go over 20?
All bets are off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's a good question.
That was one of my first. So,
but we understand the consequences, right? Projects got to get narrower. One thing that we're doing, and we had a architect come in to present to the SFOC, And we're going to push architects to really give us options. And I'll give you a really specific example. If they want to do this wall on a walkway that's really high and pretty and we can put a mural on it, I need another option for just a rail. That's a lot cheaper versus, you know what I mean? So we need to get our architects giving us lots of options early on that we can value engineer out as needed. So that's a strategy we have to consider.
Kind of on that note, one of the things that I'm kind of curious about the prioritization, what types of things are you going to be kind of bringing to the board? And for an example of that, who's making that final call as to like, how are we going to prioritize that is something that is beautiful versus something that is a railing? And I think it just comes back to our conversation about the concession stand.
Yes.
As like, I think we all could use a better idea of how those decisions get made. You have alluded to some of that, but I just wanted to get that clear.
Well, ultimately, you make the decision. Now, it's incumbent upon staff to bring the recommendations to you that are, based on the logic, aligned with the priorities. And so that's essentially what we need to do. And we will be doing. So we hear from all different stakeholders. Dr. Macias and I did the football field, and I played football. I saw the turf. It's done. We need a new field. It's not, it's tough. It's bad. So that needs to be a project, or are we going to put it into a project? And so we would bring the draft readiness for you, a menu of what we have. Again, we got what we are working on. Roofing projects, good to go. We're going to finish it. We're going to close it out. We know roofing has to happen. We're going to get it done. So then we bring ADA, so we have our ADA, and we're going to have that menu. And we would rank them accordingly as to what we need to do in sequence. And that's part of the program management role, is to get that beautiful Gantt chart that gives you every project with the timelines. And then you're like, well, wait a second, we have some issues here. The board essentially will give feedback to sort accordingly, and we should make it easy for you to make a decision. It's not always easy. It's not, because we need, if we have a football field there, we need a football field there. You know what I mean? So there's just those conversations. This concession stand, we sometimes don't have all the information. There's a lot of people there's electrical issues they're plugging in. So there's just a lot of other pieces to it. But again, we need to bring those menu of items to you before you're essentially voting on an item at a board meeting. I mean, it's tough. And so that's incumbent upon us and what our due diligence is going to entail.
I'm just kind of wondering if there's a way for us to all calibrate more effectively as these individual things come. Like, I'm just kind of visualizing like a rubric of sorts of how do we, measure kind of how does the SFOC rank this as a priority of doing this, I love your example of the rail. Like, this should be this because of this, and then we can evaluate that against staff and then look at it here. I'm just wondering if you need more from us so that we're not gumming up the works in order to move these types of decisions more quickly as they come up in the future.
So
the board.
Yeah. No,
and the fact that a lot of these small decisions will need to come to us.
So the intent right now is to give you a summary of what we've done, because we got to get our story straight, the story of what's happened, right? And then because now, based on the data, we have baseline data, it's informing the plan moving forward. And now that we have, we have our projects that have started. We have infrastructure, we have roofing. Those are the big projects right now. We got to see them through fruition. So those are ongoing. And then again, if there's change orders, there's pieces, then we get that feedback. But as far as the new ones, and one of the things we have to think about with softball fields, I'll give you an example. You have this design and survey piece, and that gives us the true cost of what this is going to be. And so we really got to think about, with all these different projects we have in the master plan, it's, we'll bring it to you. We have furniture needs. That's another one. It's in the master plan, but this is how much money we need for furniture.
And with the costs increasing.
Exactly. And those are all those pieces. So essentially, we're going to have to bring this menu of items to the group, like, hey, this is what we're on. trying to finish it up. We're going to get our notice of completions, and then here's what's on the menu next. And then you guys give feedback. We need this, 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 and this first, or you agree with what we're saying should come first. Essentially, that's how it works. And then it's also coupled with, and I'm going to say it, some special meetings where we would have some study sessions potentially to go deeper into that area.
Okay, good.
So I've seen where usually there's about 2 study sessions a year, one in the fall, one in the spring, where the board will have that hour session to really dive into this and have these conversations.
This question I actually think dovetails nicely. So first of all, I just wanted to thank Robin and Malihe for being here. And my comments about management are all about the fact that we don't have enough people, not that you're not doing phenomenal jobs, because you both are. So we're talking about turf, right? We're talking about concessions, and these are all kind of hypotheticals and also really important. On the flip side, we know Huerta's been waiting 20,000 years for cameras, right? And so I think for me, what would also be helpful, and Kelsey, or Board Member Olson, I think you were getting at this, but I'm trying to visualize sort of where all of this lives, because I think the concession stand is a great example of that's important. But when we're talking about all of these things that are important to every school site, how we prioritize those, and being able to look at a list and say, well, we know we have to get the cameras done at Huerta, or we know we have to do X. And so I think that's my concern, is that, and I hear you saying that a lot of it is a timing issue and we'll have more information well in advance, but when you were talking about the approval of the Chromebooks, which I'll bring up in a little bit, you mentioned that we needed to approve it by May 14th.
For that price.
Right, but if we are up here tonight saying no, that doesn't give you a lot of time. I'm not saying, I'm saying hypothetically, that doesn't give you a lot of time.
Yeah.
So how can we adjust so that if we do say no to something, or we ask you to bring it back, you're not then pressed for time to be like, well, that is gonna work, that price that we got, we're not gonna have anymore.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of this has to do with being understaffed and you doing 17 jobs, but I want to make sure that we are not making people's jobs harder, but we're also being really fiscally thoughtful about how we are allocating these funds. And I think both things can exist.
Yeah. One of the challenges is we need to have a plan in the beginning. Okay. And and that's the thing. Now, as we go through the cycle of the year, we know what we need. That informs the plan. And for Chromebooks, there's a challenge in general. Everything has a specific story and issue. Having a true refresh plan that doesn't let all Chromebooks need to be refreshed in 1 year. So it's just like little things like that. And that's one of our challenges. We're coming up to a bit of a cliff. It's a bit of a timing issue. And so, and then we also can use the bond dollars for this purchase. So we can either pull it out of the general fund at a different date. We can wait a little longer, be more expensive. I mean, there's just pieces, but I want to make sure. But ideally, this would have been known. You know what I mean? And so we could have had this as part of the bigger plan in general. So that is one of the challenges, because I understand the infrastructure plan started as a phase. I think it started definitely with a bigger plan, and it was reduced down to about the 5.1, and it just became basic infrastructure. But as we know there are needs this year, and so I'm trying to protect the general fund as much as possible for reasons we all know. That's part of it. But we would have this plan going into next year to say, here's the big items going in, so that would help a lot, and we will have that. Yeah, because we have a director of technology who will have a tech plan. It's just like a director of facilities will have a deferred maintenance plan that will align with the facilities master plan as well. So these are all pieces that need to be in place.
Dr. Arkadian? Okay. Yeah, I think this is super helpful, right? And I think a really good starting place. And I'm looking forward to, it sounds like next meeting, to then seeing like, okay, here's the list. Does anything need to move around on this priority list? Because that's what I'm hearing from you. Because I think what's hard, right, is even if you go and look at the turf and say like, well, this turf is garbage, you can go to many school sites, and there is something about that school site that you're like, this needs to be fixed yesterday.
Yep.
And so you've got to figure out like which is the thing that gets fixed first.
Correct.
Right? And that's got to be a board decision with SFOC input. And so I think that's where some of the frustration around the concession stand was coming from, quite honestly. Is that like, I'm looking at, I did a site walk of the Bret Hart Playground and was like, well, I totally understand why these parents are angry, but also I totally understand why people don't want to trip over wires and fall into hot dog water. So these both seem like bad outcomes. The other thing I'll say is on the tech piece of things, I, for context, like 13 years ago, in my first job at LAUSD, I worked in like one-to-one devices and a bond-funded program. I don't know that I would necessarily suggest buying devices with bond funds. The tanks or the carts are built like tanks, right? Those last forever. I'm more uncomfortable buying devices that we know don't last a terribly long amount of time with money that we're going to be paying back for many, many, many years. I understand that it protects the general fund, and we also know that if we don't get that, we often are getting surprise one-time funds at the end of the year that we don't want to put towards ongoing expenses. So I think that might be a good candidate for something like this, instead of saying, let's roll back any part of our, fiscal stabilization plan or something like that. But that's where I land on that, just because it makes me very nervous to, it'd be like signing a mortgage for a paper house and being like, well, it's okay that it.
And I 100% understand. I did reach out to our legal counsel as well, and just to get it writing, and but I understand what you're saying.
It's legal.
Yeah.
And that is also what we heard 13 years ago. I just wouldn't, I don't love it, is I guess what I would say. Dr. Weisberg.
I'll just ask my Chromebook question since they were introduced. I mean, my question is, we don't have our tech plan yet, so are we premature in doing this? And because we haven't had the report come back, we don't really know what the existing status is of the Chromebooks that we have. Or maybe you do and I don't. So I fully believe that you have more information than I do.
Yeah.
You're a wise man. We also know we have carts. We don't know how many carts we have, because I know that each site has different carts. But my feeling is if we have enough Chromebooks to hold on and we can put them in the cart so they're not being schlepped home, then they should have a little bit of life in them. So I guess my question is, why are we thinking about spending $500,000 on them?
Yeah, this is a meeting I had my first week with Dr. Anders, so I'm gonna let him.
Hey, I said the words that summoned Dr. Anders. Yay!
2029 is the cliff, so it's a little sooner than we think. Really, this is part conversation that we're hearing tonight about being able to make a transition. Right now, we're sort of stuck in post-pandemic one-to-one continuation because that's the model we had to have in that situation. So the current status of our Chromebooks, we've sort of Frankensteined together a lot of the Chromebooks that have had heavy use and wear and tear, and returned it to us to be able to maintain our one-to-one program, but that's kind of where we're at. We don't have reserves.
Right.
So when we graduate as senior class, we collect from them. If we didn't change anything, we'd be making hopefully have enough to deploy to our sixth grade. But again, they're getting Chromebooks that have been out and about for 6 years now, since 2020 at least, and I think these are 2019 models.
Is there a conversation happening with you guys and our new tech director about alternatives to this? So if we're going to replace the Chromebooks, and I know that they are probably the most cost-effective devices to use, and I also want to be clear that it's super important for our English language students and our special education students that they have devices that are reliable for myriad things. So I want to, they're necessary, and also for students that don't have reliable devices and internet at home, but I just want to make sure that the plan, that we can really say confidently, this is what we have to do. Here's why. There isn't a better option. This is what we have right now. this is what we can protect with these carts, et cetera?
So two things. One is I don't believe with our current inventory we'll have enough next year. We'll have to buy some somehow.
Okay.
Even if we stayed status quo. Okay?
Right. And that'd be, yeah.
The second is when we had carts in classrooms, it was just at middle school, and it was the last model with carts was in English classrooms.
Okay.
If I'm remembering correctly. So we need a lot more carts.
Yeah.
To deploy so that, I mean, our history teachers, our science teachers, our math teachers, they're all
Absolutely.
using Chromebooks. So
Yeah.
we have to think about that if we're going back to a cart model.
Yeah, and I think this just speaks to, again, having this data in front of us
Right.
is going to make this conversation, I think, a lot easier.
And then the last thing I would add to keep it brief is the 2029 cliff is real
Yeah.
with our devices. And so what we're trying to do is sort of a mini refresh now so that we don't find ourselves in 3 years having to completely overhaul everything. And
Smart.
then we're just setting ourselves up for the same problem 5 or 10 years again, where we have
Yeah.
to make this huge one-time investment. Yeah.
Ms. Cano, she wants
Wait,
you to
Dr.
stay
Andrews, I
up
just
there,
had-
Dr. Andrews.
just
You're being
real quick.
resummoned.
Sorry. Just in terms of with this, so with our decline in enrollment, do we see then, in terms of how are we predicting in terms of how many we're going to need, say, by 2029 and in the future? For the next, I don't know, we've had those since what, 2020 you're saying, so.
As a device's age, breakage, wear and tear.
Yeah, kind of
I
attrition.
think that it's normal attrition with the decline in enrollment for us. The other thing is I think we've gotten a handful of emails. The cart model is actually more expensive than it is to do one-to-one. So but it's worth the investment if we feel like that's what's best for kids. But putting 36 Chromebooks in a cart for every classroom that'll need a cart is about 1.3 Chromebooks compared to just giving each kid one Chromebook. So that's the other piece is if we do move to that model, we do have to make an investment of both carts and additional Chromebooks to be able to do that.
And is the SBAC changing? So, because I'm saying if
Oh.
we're able to use them in the future, is it going to just be too much that the little ones we have right now? The older ones are not going to be able to handle it.
SBAC will always be on, I don't see any mechanism that isn't on devices. We've done testing with not enough devices for each student. It just means that testing can take over the span of 2 or 3 weeks. I remember rotating classes through a lab, and testing took 3 weeks. And that's honestly kind of a big distraction from instruction when you have a testing schedule that takes that long. Yep.
I know, we're doing that. That was it. That's my question.
Good. Dr. Arcani, I know you had questions.
Thank you. So, kind of been there before with this bond and currently with the LACCD bond, which is much larger than ours. So I know that, once we put there were priorities from voters of what the areas that we need to spend the money on, I think that's always a priority to me, right? What we asked the voters when they supported this. But again, I think some of these questions were asked are difficult because it depends, again, who the bond manager is, who's going to be the director. I mean, you remember Disney and how difficult because there were bond money, but the timing wasn't right. And then 6 months the state, by the time they got the permit, we had this conversation before so prioritizing it is important, but at the same time, I think building the team, it's very important because we can sit here and talk about Chromebooks all day or what's coming up next, but part of the job of the director is also prioritizing what the commitments were when we went to the voters.
Great.
But one thing I would like to see come back, which I really liked, was many moons ago were the reports where we will have a before picture and after, and people loved it because they could see it. It's right there. This is what we did. This is how much we spent. There's a before picture, there's an after picture, and it was clear because it could get very complicated. Just simple getting permits could sometimes hold you up for a year or two. It depends on what it is you're doing. So, So I hope we can see that.
Yeah, the
Because
goal too is this is kind of the template we're trying to, and so we've already shared this with the SFOC, and then essentially we'll just be updating the numbers, and then you'll be able to see how things ebb and flow, and then we'll add slides that will be the new things. Try to keep it so everybody understands and is familiar with the slideshow.
Great, that's wonderful. Ms. Olson? No, don't be sorry. It's okay to have questions.
I appreciate it.
I was actually wondering, does the SFOC have an email?
Do they have an email?
Yeah, we get a lot of, I know she left, I was like, we get a lot of emails about playgrounds and questions about specific elements of the bond, and I think it would be really important that the SFOC sees all of those emails as they're coming through. So that was a side question.
Those get directed to staff, and we make sure that the SFOC members do it. They don't have assigned BUSD email accounts.
Are you suggesting like an SFOC at burbankusd.org?
Yeah, kind of like a generalized email that can collect all of those that they can review, or that one member can review and disseminate. I just thought that, again, to not just go through board to staff to everybody, if the community had one central place to bring thoughts, it could be helpful. Something to think about.
Thank you.
When you were talking about project management in Series 1, is that something that will also have to be in Series 2 and Series 3? Or is it you trying to budget for all of it in Series 1?
Traditionally, would follow the life of the bond.
That's okay. That's great. That's really helpful. I would love for you to just explain. I know you have a little bit on the dais, but just for the clarification of people who might be wondering about the playgrounds and why they're going to take so long, and where they are on the priority list, because we have so many. Can somebody speak?
I'm going to let Malie. Yeah.
That would be so helpful.
Yes. What's the question about? What is, we have started. Thank you. We have started working on the all the playgrounds. So either it is going to be a new playground or play equipment. There are a few of them only, some schools, but the other ones they're just going to be retrofitted. So parts are broken or too old, so we retrofitted. For the TK, we already have the report, and we are going to retrofit everything for the TK during this summer.
Okay, so the TK is priority one.
TK priority 1, and is going to be done this summer. The rest of the play equipment for the older kids, 5 to 12, that is going. I am going to receive the report, and after that, it will come to board with the proposal to retrofit, and we'll get it done during the next year or 2 years, because they are in a very good shape. They can still play it on them, so there should be no problem if it becomes a little bit later. It is not priority right now. And the ones that are going to have new ones, as I said, there's one Emerson, Hart, and a couple of more that we are going to have. If you have any other question, I can tell you.
Honestly, that was helpful. The only piece I would like to add is what I've learned is the just excessive layers of DSA and how that prohibits the timeline.
Okay, so they are not going by themselves. So for retrofit of the play equipment, we don't have to go to DSA. They're already there. So the piece that is not working or is broken or
You can
something,
just-
we just take it. Yes, we just take it out and put a new one. But for the new play equipment, it is going to be as part of the ADA project, so it's not going to take a very long time, really. So it's going to be either as a secure entry and with the play equipment, or it's going to be an ADA project with play equipment. So it's going
It'll
to
be
go,
streamlined.
yes, it will be either in 2027 or 2028.
That's really helpful.
Very
And it dovetails to my next
One
question. Or do you
second,
want to do?
just to do a little clarification, because I always want to do acronyms. So DSA is Division of State Architect.
Thank you.
And
Apologies.
it's the code that we need to follow as an educational institution instead of following like local city code, essentially, right? Like they come and check our buildings to make sure that we're up to essentially the ed code version of safety, right? Yeah, I think that's the only one that I needed to do.
Of the acronyms?
Yeah.
I think so. But I appreciate the call out. Last question. We were talking about the developer fees, and I really appreciated the conversation around making sure there's no gaps in our time.
Yes.
So that we kind of can keep moving. I was wondering, you kind of alluded to projects we can pull from, like sort of a backlog of like faster or things that maybe don't take as long. Is there a list that you're sort of developing of maybe shorter, easier to attack projects so that if we do kind of hit that timeline and we're finished with things, that we can draw on a specific list of projects?
Yeah, I mean, I could sort it because I know we have done that already. Again, do we have a specific list? We can provide that. We'll figure that out. But I know some of the projects you saw that have already happened, those smaller things, have been some of those. I think the solar project was one that was just a quick fix on some solar and we got it updated. But
Okay,
yeah,
awesome.
we can provide that. We can look at what our short-term items are.
That would just be great alongside the priority discussion.
You're right. And a DSA project, obviously, it always takes, it's going to be 6 months to a year. Right?
Yeah.
Once you get them involved, it's going to be a while. Whereas if we're just putting a new playground using the same footing and all those kind of things, it's ordering parts, right? Same thing with HVAC. So we were able to replace some of the units that were within the standard of what we're going to do a year. This is a long way off, but why not? We can do that one off, but that's not a DSA. That can happen quickly, and those are short, easy things. But we were just repairing it. It's simple, but okay. Yeah, but we can look at that.
Amazing. Thank you.
Great. Other questions on this report?
Thank you. I appreciate it.
We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, thank
oh, wow,
you.
Claps for a bond report.
Heck yeah.
All right. So then let's move. And thank you, Natalie. We appreciate you. All right. We'll move on to 12A, adoption of Resolution 36, proclaiming the month of April 2026 as Burbank Unified School District's Arab American Heritage Month. Dr. Macias.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. So we'd like to present this resolution. Do we want to do the books now, or do we want to just kind of talk about the resolution first?
Let's do the books.
All right. So with that said, I'd like to invite Ms. Markison, our Director of Secondary Education and Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, to present books that our librarians came up with for this resolution.
Great. Thank you.
Good evening, President Ponser-Kamkar, VP Weisberg, board members, Dr. Macias, esteemed colleagues, and community members. Recognizing Arab American Heritage Month is an essential step for the Burbank Unified School District in fulfilling its commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. This observance offers a vital opportunity to celebrate the extensive historical, cultural, and intellectual contributions of Arab Americans, many of whom are valued members of our student body, staff, and broader community. By formally acknowledging and learning about Arab American heritage, we foster an educational environment that affirms identity, challenges harmful stereotypes, and ensures all students see their backgrounds respected and reflected, thereby strengthening cross-cultural understanding and a sense of belonging throughout the district. So tonight I have 4 recommended readings.
And could we get the presentation displayed, please?
Yay. Okay, the first one is for our elementary school students, Where Butterflies Fill the Sky, a story of immigration, family, and finding home by Zara Marwan. This luminous picture book explores the universal themes of immigration, change, and finding belonging through the eyes of a young girl named Zara. When Zara and her family must leave their home in Kuwait and move to New Mexico, she struggles to reconcile her vivid memories of the desert with her new unfamiliar surroundings. The story gently shows how Zara learns to hold on to the love and traditions of her homeland while slowly discovering the beauty and possibilities of her American life. It is a tender celebration of the enduring power of family and imagination, assuring young readers that home is not just a place, but where those we love are. For our middle school readers, The Magical Reality of Nadia by Bassem Youssef and Catherine R. Daly, illustrated by Douglas Holgate. This imaginative and fast-paced novel introduces Nadia, a middle schooler who feels like a total outsider after moving from Egypt to the United States. Nadia's struggle with navigating a new school and cultural differences takes an unexpected turn when she realizes her drawings have the power to bring ancient Egyptian gods, mythical creatures, and historical figures to life. When an important artifact at a local museum is targeted, Nadia must learn to embrace her heritage and her newfound magic, which manifests as figures like Ramses the Great, to protect her community. This book is a witty and exciting adventure that encourages readers to find strength in their cultural roots and celebrate their uniqueness. For our high school students, I Was Their American Dream by Malaka Gharib, a relatable and humorous graphic memoir. I Was Their American Dream tackles the complexities of growing up as a first-generation Egyptian Filipino-American. Author Malaka Gharib candidly explores the balancing act of straddling two distinct cultures and navigating the high expectations of her immigrant parents while trying to find her place in American youth culture. Through her distinctive, expressive illustrations, Gharib offers a poignant look at identity, culture clashes, class differences, and the journey of self-discovery. This memoir is essential reading for high schoolers who are grappling with defining their own identities and paths separate from their family's traditions. And as we discussed doing a few meetings ago, this one is selected for our community members or adult readers, any of our readers that are ready to tackle it. It's called But You Don't Look Like an Arab and Other Tales of Unbelonging by Hala Gorani. In this insightful and deeply personal memoir, veteran journalist Hala Gorani reflects on a lifetime spent feeling like a global nomad and an outsider. As a French-born Syrian woman who has traveled the world, Gorani uses compelling anecdotes to dissect the profound experience of unbelonging and the frequent, often intrusive assumptions people make about her identity and background. This book offers a timely and nuanced exploration of the Arab diaspora, the challenges of maintaining cultural connections across borders, and the evolving nature of home. It provides a valuable perspective for community members seeking to understand the multi-layered identities that exist within the Burbank community. Thank you to all of our student and community readers as they recognize the incredible contributions and cultures of Arab Americans during Arab American Heritage Month.
Thank you so much, Ms. Markison. All right, can I have a motion in a second?
So moved.
Sorry, I lost my pen. Any discussion on this item? Okay, moved by Dr. Weisberg, seconded by Dr. Agakanian. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Anyone like to read the Dr. Weisberg?
Whereas the Burbank Unified School District acknowledges the rich cultural heritage and significant contributions of Arab Americans to the history, culture, and achievements of the United States, and whereas National Arab American Heritage Month is celebrated annually in April to honor the diverse traditions, customs, and history of Arab Americans, and whereas Arab Americans have made substantial contributions in various fields, including education, business, science, technology, medicine, government, and the arts, and whereas the Burbank Unified School District is committed to fostering an inclusive environment that respects and values the diversity of its students, staff, and community members, and whereas recognizing National Arab American Heritage Month provides an opportunity to educate students and the community about the rich cultural heritage and contributions of Arab Americans, promoting understanding, respect, and appreciation for diversity. It also provides opportunities to counter misconceptions and highlight the significant role Arab Americans play in our community. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the Burbank Unified School District hereby recognizes April as National Arab American Heritage Month and encourages schools, educators, and students to engage in activities and programs that celebrate and honor the contributions of Arab Americans' heritage, culture, and history to foster a more inclusive and respectful community.
Thank you so much. All right, 12B, adoption of Resolution 37, proclaiming May 17th, 2026 through May 23rd, 2026, as Classified Employee Week.
So moved.
Any discussion?
Just a huge thank you to our classified staff, who are such an enormous part of what makes our district excel.
Absolutely. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Who would like to read this one? Ms. Olson.
Whereas the efforts of the classified staff members of the Burbank Unified School District are essential to the successful operation of the district's programs, and whereas the many contributions made by classified employees should be publicly recognized, and whereas classified employees serve the community of Burbank through their support of students in the classrooms, offices, facilities of the district, and whereas classified employees contribute to the establishment and promotion of a positive instructional environment, and whereas the classified employees provide knowledge, skills, and expertise that are relied upon throughout the district on a daily basis, and whereas classified employees serve a vital role in providing for the welfare and safety of Burbank Unified School District students, and whereas classified employees of the Burbank Unified School District strive for excellence in all areas relative to the educational community, and whereas classified employees, often unrecognized, deserve special recognition for their contributions to children in the city of Burbank, the state of California, and the nation. And now, therefore, be resolved that the Board of Education extend its sincere appreciation to the classified employees of the Burbank Unified School District and encourages the community to recognize and honor their contribution to a quality education and celebrate the accomplishments of the district's classified staff, and hereby proclaims the week of May 17th through May 23rd Classified Employee Week.
Thank you so much, Ms. Olson. All right, as a reminder, we're going to 12E, adoption of Resolution 40, proclaiming April 16th, 2026. That's today. Woo! As School Librarian Day.
So moved.
Any discussion on this item?
Thank you to our phenomenal librarians, and not only for these book recommendations, for being amazing part of our school communities.
And thank you to staff for making this one happen.
Yes, thank you, everybody.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Who would like to read this one? All right, I'm going to read it. I'd take it. Resolution 40, proclaiming April 16th, 2026, the Burbank Unified School District's School Librarian Day. Whereas National Librarian, observed annually on April 16th, recognizes the invaluable contribution of librarians and library staff who support literacy, learning, inquiry, and lifelong education, and whereas school librarians play a vital role in advancing student achievement by fostering a love of reading, teaching research and information literacy skills, supporting curricular goals, and ensuring equitable access to information and resources, and whereas librarians and library staff serve as instructional partners, collaborators, and advocates who create welcoming, inclusive spaces that encourage curiosity, creativity, and critical thinking for all students. And whereas the librarians of the Burbank Unified School District demonstrate exceptional dedication, professionalism, and commitment to supporting students, educators, and families through dynamic library programs, thoughtful curation of resources, and innovative instructional support. And whereas the work of librarians contributes to the academic success, digital citizenship, and social emotional growth of students, preparing them to be informed, engaged, and responsible members of our community. And whereas National Librarian Day provides an opportunity to express appreciation for the expertise, leadership, and services of librarians and library staff who strengthen the educational experience across the district. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Burbank Unified School District Board of Education hereby proclaims April 16th, 2026 as National Librarian Day in the Burbank Unified School District. And be it further resolved that the Board expresses its sincere gratitude and appreciation to all the Burbank Unified School District librarians and library staff for their dedication to literacy, learning, and student access. And be it further resolved that the Board encourages students, staff, and families and the community to join in recognizing and celebrating the essential contributions of librarians on this day and throughout the year. Oh, I thank you. All right, let's go back then to 12C. Approval of Resolution 38, authorizing the use of Object 8625 RDA pass-throughs to reimburse general fund for a portion of past and/or current annual 3% deposits into restricted maintenance account RMA. Dr. Hasty?
I'm sure you understand every bit of that.
Absolutely.
Okay, just if we go back to a few meetings ago when Dante Gamusio spoke from school, it was public school economics, public school
At about 10:45 at night? Yep.
Yes, he did. It was late. From Nashville, I remember. Anyway, so this is, he's done the study and did the numbers, and essentially this resolution authorizes up to, and again, it just authorizes up to the $16 million mark. However, we would be able to utilize Fund 40 compliantly to offset our routine restricted maintenance contribution, which is 3% of our unrestricted and restricted expenditures, roughly about $6.9 million. So what this essentially will permit us to do is to, instead of pulling that 3%, that 6.9 million from our unrestricted general fund to restrict for the routine restricted maintenance, we will be able to pull it from Fund 40, where we have about $22 million, maybe 20, because I think we did the pool with Fund 40. So those are just, and that will give us the ability to do that. This would be a closing action. We would only be permitted to do it this year. If we do it next year, we'll just bring another resolution at that point. Now that the study's been done, we know where we are with it. We can move forward. So again, what that number will actually be, this will just give us some flexibility at the closing time. And when we do budget adoption, estimated actuals, we bring that to you. I will speak more to it then as to what was actually needed to ensure we were solvent. And again, this is a backup plan. It does not solve a structural deficit issue. So we still need to take action, do what we need to do to correct the structural deficit spending.
Got it. So before further discussion, can I have a motion and a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion. Dr. Weisberg?
Oh, no, I don't have anything.
Oh, okay. Questions on this? Ms.
I'm-
Fana?
I'm-
I think you will probably have
I
a
think I
very
am.
reasonable question.
I'm still learning so much of this right now. So with this, I understand that it's this backup plan, but does LACO still know what we're doing? And will they give us some type of yay? Well, I know you're here, but I
They
want.
won't give us a yay, but yes, they do
But
know what
they'll
we're
go,
doing.
"Oh, good,
I've
you're
had
still
multiple
going the right
discussions with them.
Okay.
This is just something that, has happened in a couple districts in LA County that are receiving these RDA tax dollars.
Okay.
That are, again, the structure is antiquated and it's a utilization. And then now most districts are raising this money through bonding. And they still have these funds in some capacity. So again, LACO does know we're doing it and it's compliant.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is offset, this is kind of unrestricting the dollars that we would otherwise put into our maintenance fund. But we essentially need to treat it as one-time funding each year.
Okay, kind of.
Okay.
It's getting to the same place, what you're saying, but the how is a little different.
Okay,
So
tell me more.
Fund 40, the money in there now was brought through tax revenues. In the way that's done is restricted. So that we're actually unrestricting that. Okay, so that is Fund 40 outside the general fund, which is roughly $20 million we have in there. Now we have the amount in the resolution. Now, when we look at our general fund, we call it Fund 01. The other one was Fund 40. This is Fund 01. Two sides of it, you have unrestricted and restricted. At the end of every year, school districts have to take 3% of total expenditures up here and say, well, I'll just use the 200 million, right? You have to take 3% of total unrestricted, restricted expenditures, and whatever that dollar amount is. For us, it's about 6.97 million, and you have to move that from your unrestricted general side to the restricted to pay for, to ensure you're going to keep your site's maintenance,
Right.
maintenance up. So essentially, what we're doing, instead of having to pull it from the unrestricted general, we'll pull it for the Fund 40.
Right, and so
And
we'll
we-
leave that 6.9 on the unrestricted side.
Correct.
Okay, got it.
Now, again,
But not
Up
on an,
to-
not forever, only up
It's a-
until.
this is a
we've
one-time thing
spent-
right now, and it's up to, but what we'll do is we'll run the budget, we'll look at everything, we're having our budget meetings, we'll run the numbers, and we're like, okay, we're gonna need to offset this much. And so it'll give us some flexibility, and ideally, this will also help us with a better phased approach to the reductions we have to make.
Okay, got it.
That's essentially the hope. And now, once we get our dollars and all that stuff, we'll know more soon.
Right,
Yeah.
but it does not solve a structural deficit. It
No.
does not change our fiscal stabilization
It's a
plan.
bit of it's a backup plan.
Got it. All right. Any other questions on this? All right. It was moved by Dr. Agakanian and seconded by Ms. Olson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. 12D, approval of Resolution 39 regarding geographic usage restrictions for RDA pass-throughs to district per AB 1290.
Okay.
Dr. Hastings.
So this is, again, little complicated. So the way the dollars, the revenues, they're by geographic area, and let me see, I have the note here.
Oh, wait,
What-
sorry, one
Yeah,
second.
go ahead.
Did we need to do,
Is your motion, or?
was 38 amended? Am I just looking at the? No, okay, sorry.
It's okay.
I was just looking at the red numbers all of a sudden in the resolution and panicking.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
sorry.
okay. It's okay.
Back on it.
This, let me get to my notes here, sorry. So again, this is more ensuring legal compliance with the law around this, which is AB 1290. I won't cite the law, but it formally establishes the board's determination on how we're doing this. Now, essentially, it unlocks the district-wide flexibility of the funding. So allows, right now, it's like 56.7% facilities, we have that share of RDA pass-throughs funds through, it will unlock that restricted part, because right now, people are paying taxes in certain regions of Burbank, and it's by a percentage. So by passing this one, it frees it up so we don't have to use it only for that area. And so now we're allowed to use it district-wide. Now, essentially, this is something, as we use those dollars for modernization anyway, it should be done. So, but again, we're fine. This will bring us into full compliance as we go into the closing, and essentially unrestricting the location of the dollars, meaning we don't have to use those modernization dollars for those specific geographic regions. We can use it district-wide, okay? I'm keeping it as simple as possible because it's very complicated very quickly.
Great.
Is this
Dr.
common
Weisberg.
practice?
What do you mean by common?
Is this what people do when they,
What do you mean
after
by
they
what do I-
do a resolution
This
like
is-
Resolution 38?
Yes, usually these come in pairs based
Okay.
on the restrictions in the regional areas. And for our city, Burbank, we have these regional areas where these dollars are being generated, so that's why it requires this resolution coupled with the other one.
Okay. Great.
Not all cities have that, though. No.
Madam President, can I ask a question?
Yeah, of course.
I was wondering if we had any vision on where these dollars would go.
Yeah, so typically, when I would do the bond presentation, I would have had developer fees and I would have had Fund 40.
Okay.
With that, because we would leverage these to also help with our bond, because these are monies for modernization purposes. However, we have a priority that supersedes everything to ensure we can meet our 3% in the subsequent years.
So it stays.
So keep in mind, we only are using, we have 20 million in there, and we're getting allocations for the next 17 years. It's in the resolution. I want to say it's like 1.8 million each year. So we're getting this money regardless for the next 17 years. So right now, what we're doing is if we need it, we can use it for these other purposes to offset our routine restricted maintenance. But typically, if we weren't in that situation, we would use this in conjunction with our bond dollars. And we can still do that, based on where you get taking care of our structural deficit over time. And hopefully, and that's, we'll have to talk more about that as it comes.
Okay.
Okay?
Got it. All right, can I have a motion and a second?
Second.
All right, any other discussion on this item? Okay. Moved by Dr. Iconian, seconded by Board Member Olson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. All right, down to 12F. Approval of professional services group agreement, Mollenhauer Group, girls softball field and parking improvements, land surveying services, John Burroughs High School.
Okay, again, priority 1B around equity. It's just, this is a full land surveying package. It includes boundary, topographic, and utility investigation. It's not just a real basic survey, it goes a little deeper. Cost right now is $58,000 on Measure ABC. But as I said, these are also one of the beginning stages as we're getting into this.
Second.
That's fine.
Did you make a motion?
Yeah. Discussion on this item.
I do have a question.
Cano.
Yes.
Now, what did we, just recently, we also did a land survey there over at Burroughs because we were saying there was all those wires and things underneath there. So is this in addition to, or is this just a different place? Because I thought it was for the softball field and parking lot. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I'm going to say, let me think here. Hold on, before I answer. Hold on. Just want to make sure. Administration approve professional service agreement. We had a geological survey that went subterranean, I believe. That's what it was. And I think this is more general, but I can get this. I'll get the answer to you. I mean, yeah.
I mean, yeah, you're right.
It's not a repeat. It is needed, but yeah.
This does has underground utility detection services as part of this too.
Yeah.
I remember what you're talking about, but I do think it was different.
It was.
But I cannot be sure.
I'll get a response in the board
Okay.
follow up for
Thank
you
you.
guys so you can.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Ms. Wilson.
I'm just confirming that this is one of the pre-selected vendors.
Yes.
Perfect.
Great. Other questions on this item? Was there any feedback from SFOC on this?
Yes. All these items go to SFOC. to our
And
meetings.
they were all 10 thumbs up on them, or?
They don't vote on the actual items, but so
Nobody threw
we
themselves in the
present this
ground
to them and
okay.
yeah.
Dr. Hasty, would it be possible, and I asked this question acknowledging that there's a lot of work, would it be possible to get like a brief summary when we're approving bond-related things that gives us basically an answer to President Poncer Kamkar's question, which is like SFOC discussed, these are the major takeaways, so that we can be more informed because,
We could add it to the board agenda item.
That would
in
be
the memo.
great. That would be great.
And
Thank
so
you.
just we'll put some content together and I'll template it out for everybody.
Yeah. You'll probably then have to like amend the agenda item, but.
Well, if you want to do it for this one specifically.
Well, no, I'm just saying.
I mean, moving
in the
forward,
future, because like they're
Uh,
so close to each other usually.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
can
I
make it
just,
happen.
I mean, their whole, as an advisory group, I want to make sure we are taking their
Understood.
advice under advisement.
Yes, will do.
Thank you.
Cool. All right. Moved by any other discussion on this? Okay. Moved by Dr. Akanian, seconded by Board Member Olson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. 12G, approval of amended contract for Quaver Ed Education. Dr. Knapik.
So last month, the board approved the Quaver contract. In that contract, we did not include access to all of our TK through 5 students through our 6 music educators. So now we just bring it back to make sure we're including that.
So we just included the teachers before, and now
Yes.
we need to include the students?
Yes.
Okay. Can I get a motion a second before we have further?
Second.
Thank you. Other discussion or questions on this item? Ms. Olson.
What? I just wanted to confirm or identify whether or not students would be, because if usually we're paying or including their individual licenses in the contract, that kind of implies that they're logging in. And I thought with this, it was just the teachers logging in.
It is the teachers, yes.
have-
But it could be, we could have some students also accessing too. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm going to jump in.
Thank
the reason
you.
for the change order is they're used to a national pricing model where one teacher equates to one school. So when we bought licenses for 6 teachers, there was an assumption that there would be 6 schools worth of students. But we had to explain in California, our teachers have to go to multiple schools. So it would include more students than what they had anticipated. So what this is, they've actually done a very nice pricing model for us once they recognize the landscape in California. So this does ensure that all students can access at home. They had to just go outside of their normal pricing model to make it work for California because of our circumstance.
So we initially approved 6 licenses. What was the cost for that then? Does anyone? I mean, I can try to find the.
If you look at the page 3, I think it was the last board meeting, but I think it was. But so it says K through 5 2-year license 6, but these are the teachers. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what the differential is because it says it says in the language that it's amended cost, but not what it was adjusted from.
Yeah, I left that on my desk in the office.
Oh, okay. So this is the new
Yes.
full cost. So this isn't additive of 22. It's got it. Okay.
So that all TK, because before, like Dr. Andrews was saying, is that we priced it out for 6 schools. Now we're pricing it out for 11 schools, all students.
Yeah, six teachers still, but would it include all 11 schools worth of students, if that makes sense?
So
But I don't know off the top of my head either the price difference from the last.
But there
quote to
is a
this.
price difference.
I don't think there is.
I don't even know that there is, honestly. I think it's just a revision of the quote.
It is a revision of the quote based on what my memory is.
I'm looking it up right now.
But may I ask, because again, initially my brain went to this quote is for the teachers to access and then use it with the students. So the students will be authenticating in as users to Quaver.
Correct. And so the idea here is that even though they get 1 day of music, maybe a week, the student could still have access to Quaver 7 days a week at home.
Yes.
Whenever. Yeah.
I do love that. I just, I'm just not seeing any more in this contract about like, do we have a student privacy agreement and like a process that they've agreed to, like authentication?
Yep, that would be an Exhibit E.
Okay.
For data privacy, they would sign on with us like they do other districts, and then as far as authentication, that's the reason I know about this is I was part of the meeting to make sure that students can SSO in
right
through our Clever.
Okay,
I have an answer. On March 26th, we approved $13,734 because it was basically 12 something with tax. So this is like essentially a change order for another 9,000 and change.
But to be clear, the 13 and change was through a grant from the Chuck Lorre Family Foundation.
Which this is also still funded.
Correct.
So this is not anything. Yeah. So we are not paying this money. This is just a change that we're going to let the foundation know about. Okay, cool.
It's still coming out of the foundation.
Yes.
Yep.
Oh.
They
are
already
funding
know
it.
about the
That is
change
the funding source on here, so.
of the dollar amount? Oh,
Well,
But we have the money.
okay. Got it.
So it's in.
So the
it's in
money's already been
allotment.
allotted.
It's
Okay, I just didn't want
It's
to
in the
approve
bank.
something that then they were like, wait.
got it.
I guess I would just ask that, I don't know how the rest of the board feels about these types of contracts, but if the organization has signed our student privacy agreement, our Exhibit E's, whatever it is, I would love to see them attached to these or see if they have any other, details that they have added to new contract, especially just to new contracts.
Yeah, we can do that.
All right, great. Well, it was moved by Dr. Arikani and seconded by Board Member Olson. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. 12H, Approval of agreement with YMCA of Metropolitan Los Angeles Burbank for expanded learning programs. Dr. Knapp.
So this is for the summer YMCA program that is going to run from Monday, June 8th through Thursday, July 10 at Emerson Elementary School. This is something we've done annually through the YMCA. They totally run the program independently of the school district. We just monitor.
Let's do a motion in a second, and then we'll do questions. Okay. Dr. Weisberg.
Oh, hello. A couple of questions. I'm assuming we list career awareness and work prep activities for K through 5 as like going to the fire station and like going to fun places.
Exactly.
We're not like putting them in coal
Community
mines.
partners, yeah.
Okay. My big question is this. So it says very clearly what you said, which is that YMCA decides hiring, wages, management. Where do we get the amount from? So we're saying we're approving it's like $235,000. But has this hiring already happened? Do we know?
No, it's not all happened yet.
So then how
So
do
they go ahead through their pricing model.
Okay.
They go ahead and give us a proposal, and they gave us the proposal in January for this.
And does
summer.
that include the cost of credentialed teachers? Because that sounds like it may come from us.
They hire teachers either like through Glendale or through other places, as well as our own teachers too. So it's wherever they can get teachers. Because it may not be that we have enough teachers going into them from to want to work for YMCA.
Do we offer it up to BUSD staff
Yes.
first?
Yes.
Well, that's peachy keen.
Yep.
The only other question I had is if, and I'm just thinking a little bit about some of the issues we had last academic year with people who were being hired on that weren't fingerprinted before they started working with students, not in any of our ELOP programs at our high schools. Do you feel
That's
like
a requirement of the grant and of the application.
So,
They
my
have to
only
be fingerprinted.
but my question is in the language here. It doesn't say before. It says we require fingerprints and health screening. I'm just wondering if you think we need to add before working with students just to be on the safe side, or if you think we're okay.
We could add it.
It does say under C, it says provide background checks, fingerprinting, hiring, and payroll services consistent with district policies and administrative regulations.
I do see that. I think I just worry that that was also in place with the person that we had issues with last year, and he did not have his fingerprints done before. So I think maybe it's overkill. I just wanted to put it out there if we want to add that these things are done before they start working with students.
And we can have a clarifying conversation with YMCA to make sure that this is being done.
I think both would be great.
Yes.
Okay.
Easy.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other discussion on this? Ms. Olson?
I was just curious about sort of the process of setting it up and breaking it down. Like if you meet with them before, during, after, like what's the cadence on just kind of the accountability?
You're exactly right. So we sit down with them, we talk about our needs, we talk about the kids, where they're at in terms of English language arts, mathematics, what kind of kiddos we would want to go ahead and place into the Learn, Grow, Thrive program. And so they work with us directly about all those kind of processes and procedures, and we're in regular communication with them too.
So are they receiving like data, dibbles, that kind of stuff on the students?
In the past, they have given like pre and post tests.
Oh, they've
So
assessed. Okay.
They assess, and then they will do that again this year too as part of the package.
Got it.
Yeah.
And one more question on how we as a district determine what students we recommend.
Yeah. I know it, but it's not here. So we've tried to focus on our Title I kiddos. So kiddos that are falling like below expectation.
Well, those are different things though.
Yeah.
Like Title I, and then if they're falling behind or.
By definition, those are Title I kids.
Oh, I mean, but it's not all of them. Like,
No.
Okay, so so you're only focusing on Title I?
We're focusing on kiddos that are lagging behind, that need more summer school, they need more intense academic work. But they also get the fun side of summer school too, summer camp-like activities too.
We do have other summer school options, right?
Yes.
And so why would we explain to me what would make a child a good fit for this program versus the district-run summer school?
Because
for
of the type of
example?
curriculum that they use, it's
Mhm.
like an intervention-like curriculum, like a tier 3 intensive curriculum that they provide.
Which is the Learn, Grow, Thrive, or is the district one?
Which is Learn, Grow, Thrive.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's more intensive at Learn, Grow, Thrive.
Yes.
And it is 5 days a week.
Yes.
Yeah.
And district summer school is 4.
Yes.
Is my recollection.
I think it could be helpful because I asked a similar question. I asked what metrics we're using to define underperforming. Because I do think we want to be careful that we're not making an assumption that all of our unduplicated pupils are underperforming,
They're
which I
not.
know you're not
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah.
But it would be helpful to know, I don't need to know this very second. It would be helpful to know how we identify those kiddos.
Yeah.
And to President Poncer Kamkar's point, why we say like, oh, this program versus this program.
Great. Any other questions on this one?
I'm sorry.
No,
I'm
you're
not
okay.
sorry.
Don't be sorry.
I had
Ask your question.
one more clarifying question. So Learn, Grow, Thrive is the program, but then what is Power Scholars Explorers program?
It's what they call it.
So we're just calling it different things.
Yes.
Weird. Okay.
I think that's what they get. Yeah. It's because they call it Learn, Grow, Thrive
They
at
do.
the school. And what site are we doing this at? this year?
Emerson.
At Emerson? Okay.
Yeah.
I think Power Scholars is maybe what they used to call it during the year as well. That's what they called their after school.
Yes.
Is my recollection.
Sometimes they use them interchangeably.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else?
No, I swear to God.
Don't make promises you can't keep.
About
All right. It was moved by Dr. Icani and seconded by Dr. Weisberg. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. 12I, approval of revised job description. Dr. Macias.
Thank you, Madam President. Reintroducing this from last week's board meeting as a consideration for job description for the Assistant Super of Human Resources position. The only change that's being requested is the qualifications. Prior was a minimum 2-year successful experience in human resources management. We would like it to be considered to be prior experience in human resources preferred, with the addition of another job qualification that we're asking for consideration, completion of AXA Personnel Academy preferred. This will broaden the applicant pool, and we hope to be extremely competitive with what the current climate is out there in the job market with the education field as we're seeing it right now.
Thank you so much. And I'm going to need a motion as amended because we also have that it is effective April 17th. And if we want to make any other further amendments from the dais, we would need that as well. So can I get a motion for this as amended and then we can discuss? All right. Thank you so much. Discussion on this item. Dr. Weisberg.
The first one is a question, Dr. Macias, in looking over this, there's just, before we talk about the big changes, there are quite a few spelling, grammar, spacing, font issues that run throughout this. I would assume that let me remove the assume because you know what happens. Do you want us to share those from here or send them to you later on? I think, this is a great opportunity for us as we're moving into like a new era of HR to really make sure that all of our job descriptions are as professional as they can be. And I know we use this from an older version from the days of yore. So since we didn't write it, we do have an opportunity now to clean it up.
Yes, I would highly prefer that in the essence of time.
Absolutely.
Send them to me. We'll make sure that they get posted correctly.
I appreciate that.
And I don't think that those necessarily need to be part of any amendments.
No,
think
I
we
don't
can
either.
Just, say, hey, let's
Yeah.
run it through a spell
Yeah.
check. let's fix some formatting.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that
So-
makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, I mean, my larger sort of conversation is, I think what we heard from HR staff last week, and I know that Dr. McCoy spoke with CSEA and BTA, and I think a lot of what we're hearing is very real trepidation about feeling as though they haven't had someone in the role who could really lead them. And I think those are valid concerns. And in talking with Dr. McCoy, and I know Dr. Macias, you spoke with him at length about this, that Dr. McCoy is also aware of that. And it sounds like in his conversations with union partners, they were not like 100% let's do it, but understood his vision. And I think the important takeaway for me in better understanding his vision is that we are not just going to hire somebody, that this will allow us to expand the pool. But if we do not get solid applicants, then we're going to fly it again until we do. And we are flying it at a weird time. And by flying, I mean we're posting the job. So it was really important to me. And I want to thank Dr. Macias for so quickly helping make the connections with BTA and CSEA specifically. I didn't want to move forward until we heard back from them. And so it's clear to me now that what their concerns are, which is we don't want what has happened before to happen again.
And again, I'll reiterate what I mentioned before. I will not change our rigorous interview process and screening process.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, and I'll confirm that, if we don't find a highly qualified candidate, that we're committed to going out again if need be.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll share, I talked to Dr. McCoy right before the meeting because he had met with our Teachers Association right before this and hadn't had a chance to email the rest of the board. So asked me to share this, that, he walked through his vision on this with them and they understood it, right? So I think some of it was being able to have that conversation with him to understand this is not about watering it down. It's about having a really high standard, but trying to get as many highly qualified people into the pool so that we have options. I want to acknowledge that I think our HR team has been through a lot, especially over the last year, but also just even over, like during my time on the board, they've gone through a lot of process changes and a lot has changed about how they've had to do their job that I think has made life very difficult, right? And so I think having a new leader in this position who's gone through this kind of different process might be very helpful to have some fresh eyes in there. And so I think having our labor partners have that conversation with Dr. McCoy and having them be willing to kind of give him the benefit of the doubt on this, that they trust him enough to say like, yeah, okay, like I want to see where this vision goes, I think says a lot about his ability to build those relationships right away, and they could see it, which is great. So
When was the last time, or have they ever done such a rigorous hiring process for someone to take over HR?
It's been the same.
Well,
It's always like
we
this? They've
didn't
always had?
fly.
No,
I
that's what
don't
I'm
know
saying,
that
for
we
real, for
flew
real.
it the last time that we hired.
So, very great question. Strange circumstances back in, I believe, in 2023. So I wasn't here. I'm not going to
Yeah.
answer that.
Okay.
I just know that to exist. But I'm going to reiterate what I said before. We're not going to allow anything to lighten in terms of our process.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we flew it, but I will say that, Dr. McCoy will get, and if he hasn't already, all of the really powerful letters written by HR, and we're hearing it, right? They want somebody who understands ed code. Yeah.
Right. No, that was my question. It wasn't just when did we last, it's when did, or have we ever used this much rigor right now as, what Dr. Macias is talking about.
I mean,
That
I think-
that really, and then if we don't, we'll just fly it again.
Right.
Yeah.
Again, the expectation whenever we have any position that we're running a rigorous process. When it comes to upper management, executive management positions, we're running a very rigorous process and involving all our labor partners. We have a collaborative process, and yeah, we have not lightened, will not lower the bar when it comes to that.
No, it will not just be the best of whoever applies.
Yeah.
Is I think the message that we want to make clear to staff,
Yeah.
right? That if we're not able to get someone who can meet a high bar on the first try, then we'll go out and find again and find someone.
Yeah.
Right?
And I do want to just quickly say that I want our HR staff not to, I mean, and some may, but we're not being dismissive of the concerns. I think we've all really taken them seriously, as has Dr. McCoy, and I just think that's an important thing to reiterate.
And I really want to thank them for bringing them to us, right? I know we had folks who came last week, we had folks who sent emails, so just really appreciate the willingness to share the context. So any changes that we need to make to this? Oh, Ms. Olson.
Can I just make a comment? I wanted to kind of get proof of the fact that this is sort of common right now. And I found actually 7 job descriptions in California for human resources assistant superintendent that have similar written experience breakdown, where it's either asking for administrative experience but not specific to HR, where HR experience is preferred, not required. And I was pretty surprised because this was something that really hiring people with experience right now has become very, very important for us. And so I just wanted to share that I did some digging. And I think the ones that were consistently holding that requirement to be a higher amount of years were county offices. That was the founding.
Great. Other questions or comments on this? All right. Well, then let's move on. All those in favor, it was moved by Dr. Arcani and seconded by Board Member Olson. All those in favor say aye.
Can I pause, though? I really want all the board members who are here to vote on this. I think taking a 4-0 vote is weird.
Okay.
I'm not trying to be a jerk, but this is an important.
No, that's okay.
We're either unified or we're not about this. I think this is an important one. So I don't know if we can come back to it.
We can come back to it. Let's come back to it. Let's move to 12J, approval of Boys and Girls Club Agreement for Childcare Paid by Expanded Learning Opportunities Program. Dr. Knapik.
So this is the agreement that is for next school year for the Boys and Girls Club. We've had a long history of working with the Boys and Girls Club. They service our students at all of our elementary schools and at our middle schools too. And the expanded learning program funding source would pay for the students who are unduplicated.
Can I have a motion in a second?
So moved.
Questions for my colleagues?
And just one clarifying thing too, when they invoice us, they only invoice us for the unduplicated kids. So in a program that might have 80 students, let's say 60 are unduplicated, that's what we're billed for. We're billed for each student by the month.
Okay.
It's not a blanket amount of money. It's actual cost.
And then the students that are not unduplicated, the families are paying.
The fee-based.
Yep.
It's like a blended program.
Right. Okay,
Yeah.
got it. Dr. Weisberg?
She can go ahead first.
Okay, Dr. Olson.
If only.
Dr. Olson.
I wanted to.
It's not that late yet.
I wanted to ask if there were any administrative costs.
Absolutely. So in the contract, there does talk about administrative costs from the YMCA. Yes.
Wait, this is Boys and Girls Club.
I'm sorry, Boys and Girls Club. Yes.
And I was just, maybe I missed it. I wanted to just see if there was kind of like a general fee, if that came out of ELOP funds. Yeah, because from what I understood, that it was just like per pupil based on,
And so up to $600,000 can be applied towards administrative costs too. So to pay for their
Oh.
program administration, the recruitment,
right,
materials.
exactly. Okay, that's helpful. And this gives us the flexibility on, it's like up to, so it really is dependent on how we decide to execute on the programming for the year, and then it's an invoice after that.
Exactly. And then over the years, if we don't have enough students to be in a room, we would close the room. So like at Miller, for example, we have closed rooms. We've also added rooms too, depending upon the year too. So coming out of COVID, it was really kind of weird and funky how childcare was working, but now we're more on a regular cadence too. So it's more, our numbers are much more reliable compared to just after COVID.
There was just one more I was gonna add. Is there I couldn't find like a time of like, hey, you gotta let us know by X date so we could deliver. Is there sort of just kind of an understanding, or is there like a specific time that we agree to making sure we get them the numbers?
Can you rephrase your question?
Yes, I can. I apologize.
That's okay.
Is there somewhere in this, or that is already established, where we sort of set a time frame for ourselves to letting them know how many students they're going to be serving? So prior to the school year, do we need to let them know by July 1 or August 1st exactly how many pupils we're expecting?
It kind of works the other way around.
So they handle
That
the
they
enrollment?
recruit, and then they talk to us about how their recruitment is looking like, and therefore how many classrooms they need and how much staff they need. So that's how we get that dipstick too.
Got it. So do we know when they start the enrollment process, and do we have any control over when that occurs?
Once this gets agreed to, they're going to start recruiting.
Okay.
Yeah.
One, quickly, can we add the before thing about fingerprinting and health scan stuff to this? Two, I'm a little, clarify for me. So we have 1.9 million allocated as I think a not to exceed. And is that coming out of total, 3.8 million ELAP funds?
Yes.
So that's a big chunk of it. I think it'd be helpful to know at the end how much of it we actually end up using, just in general, like for an education purposes. I also think that the way that this is laid out, where it gives a clear breakdown of what the money is being used for, would be really helpful with the why as well. Because this gives a much clearer breakdown of like, here's what's being offered, here's the staff, here's how many school sites. And again, I'm open to my colleagues saying that it's overkill. But
sounds like the child care audit that has been requested.
Exactly.
Indeed.
I was just going to say.
Tis
part
true,
of the-
tis true.
Part of the child care report that's coming up is to have a breakdown of like so
Great.
how many kids by school, by grade level, how much costs are going towards, let's say, personnel for materials, et cetera, et cetera.
That's
So,
helpful.
yeah.
My last question is, do we offer food at any of our summer programs?
We do.
We do.
work with food services. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
But this isn't summer.
This is year round.
This is summer included.
this
So
is
this
summer
is
too.
the 180 days of school year. This is 5 days at winter break.
Right.
5 days at spring break, and then 20 days in summer school, because we have to provide 30 days of
That's right.
Right.
childcare outside of the school year.
I think Dr. McCoy was talking about how he did a supper program at his previous district. And so I think there's real opportunity here to expand the kind of nutritional support we give our kiddos.
ELAP is a federally program monitored program by the state.
Mm-hmm.
So there's like about 30 pages of requirements that they have to meet, literally. And so we have the auditors too. As a matter of fact, I just got the auditor information on Monday, Tuesday from Boys and Girls Club that I have to give to the auditors, like daily enrollment and sign in and out sheets.
Yeah,
et
I
cetera,
know
et
how it's
cetera,
so
Board
complicated.
policy. So when the auditors go through it, when the State Department does
Mm-hmm.
the review, they go through it like with a fine tooth
bet.
comb.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Ms. Cano.
So, Dr. Knappich, will this then cover, so that's summer school for next year. So this summer school will be for what we did last
Correct.
website. Now, will this also cover those three? I'm like, oh. Yeah. 3 or 4 days, I can't right now, I'm blocking out. The 3 days before of school, before, remember how Boys and Girls Club was gonna have childcare there for kids who,
I know we did it
Yeah.
last year, and I don't have clarity on that, but
Okay.
I know I can work with Boys and Girls Club to cover that off.
Okay.
Because I know we offered it at the main campus, and I think at Hart too, last summer.
okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
I know, so we have Boys and Girls Club on every campus, every elementary and middle school campus, either through Boys and Girls Club or ACES, right?
Yes.
This does not include ACES, or it does include ACES?
ACES is separate.
ACES is totally separate, right?
Yes.
They just operate ACES.
Correct.
Got it.
We may use ELOP money to co-fund with ACES, depending upon ACES funding,
Yep.
so.
Okay, just making sure I had that clear. Awesome. And yeah, I think having that actual spend piece would be great on the childcare audit piece. Any other questions on Boys and Girls Club? All right, moved by Board Member Olson, Dr. Olson.
Dr. Olson.
And seconded by Ms. Cano. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Let's go back up to 12I, the approval of the revised job description, Assistant Superintendent Human Resources. We have a motion from Dr. Agakanian and a second from Board Member Olson to approve as amended. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes as amended unanimously. All right, 12K, second reading and approval of revised board policy and administrative regulation, high school graduation requirements. Dr. Knappich.
So this is a revision to the high school graduation requirements. Just as a reminder, we use CSBA as the template. We compare the CSBA revision of a board policy and an administrative regulation against our current policy or administrative regulation. Where there is language that needs to be changed, deletions are crossed out, and then where it is bolded, those are added new language.
Okay.
And then we work with our, in this case, counselors and APIs to go ahead and ensure that what we're proposing is in alignment to what they would like to see in terms of policy and regulation too. So I know Dr. Anders and Ms. Markuson has had meetings with them too, as well as the principals too.
Great. Can I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Moved by Dr. Weisberg, seconded by Dr. Arkanian. Any discussion? Discussion. All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Acceptance of gifts. Can I have a motion and a second?
Second.
Moved by Dr. Agakanian, seconded by Board Member Olson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Let us read the acceptance of gifts. Charities Aid Foundation America wishes to donate to the district $200 to be used at Walt Disney Elementary. Expressive Education wishes to donate $100 to be used for poetry books at Walt Disney Elementary. Force for Giving wishes to donate $116.76 to be used as needed at Walt Disney Elementary. Jefferson Parents wish to donate $2,810, $2,375, and $1,350 to be used for the 5th grade Knott's Berry Farm field trip at Thomas Jefferson Elementary. Jefferson Fundraising Committee wishes to donate $12,700 to be used for 5th grade promotion materials and supplies at Thomas Jefferson Elementary. Miller Parents wish to donate $986 to be used for field trips at Joaquin Miller Elementary. Providencia Parents wish to donate $360 and $93 to be used for student council at Providencia. Providencia PTA wishes to donate to the district $6,000 to be used for the dance program at Providencia. Thank you to all of our very generous donors. It sounds like lots of fun. We got field trips, we got poetry, we got dance. How lovely. All right. For consent, is there anything that we need to pull for discussion? Dr. Weisberg. 13M. Anything else?
13A
I-
and B.
13A and B.
I'd also like to pull 13K and 13L.
13K and 13L. 13s are the consent agenda. Anything else? Or can I suggest that we approve 13C through 13J as presented?
Second.
Moved by Dr. Weisberg, seconded by Ms. Olson. Any discussion on those items? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Consent agenda passes unanimously. All right, let's start with 13A then. Let's do a motion in a second and then we can do discussion. Okay, motion in a second on minutes from 3-5.
Second.
All right, Ms. Cano, your discussion.
On both of the minutes, on the closed session, there was no report out, was no action taken or what action was taken. So it's missing on both of those.
Was there, okay, let me go back to my agenda. This was 3-5 was the first one.
Yes.
I'm just trying to look at
Yeah,
my
yeah,
actual
I had an
agenda
addition
from that day. Do you have a question on that item?
I do. I'm just wondering, I don't know, Dr. Macias, if we need to ask council about this, but if you look at, and we've gone back and forth a lot about the content that goes into the comments to the board, but if you look at the last, it's not the last, but if you look at the Jeff Vanderborg's, it says that he referenced an email made public that showed President Ponser Kamkar and Vice President Weisberg's knowledge about the clerical specialized. So it's saying that we knew, like, that's an allegation, not a fact. And I do think it's important that in official minutes it reflects that that's actually not true. I don't need it to say it's a big fat lie.
Or that it's his opinion.
It's his opinion. So I don't know the legality of that, but it's come up a couple of times in other public comment, and I do want to note that if somebody pulls this and reads this, it certainly reads like illegal activity has been happening, and I think it's important somehow to note that it is alleged, not factual. And I really don't know how we do that.
Well, I also have a question about minutes and how it's written. I have seen minutes. I write minutes for my board meetings. To the extent of the detail that I'm seeing, I don't know if there is because usually minutes are pretty generalized in essence of, I mean, to type it word to word.
Can I ask what, maybe to refine what you're trying to say, is how do we determine what level of detail?
Yeah, because
They have done a really, I think, responsive job, because we've said a couple of times we don't need as much, and it's gotten very, very pared down. So if you look at and really the only area where I think that it comes into question is the public comment.
Yeah.
So I'm open to looking at best practices. I know that one of our study or retreats with Dr. McCoy wants to talk about that. But I think no matter how truncated it is, I do think it's important for the integrity of the district and the board that we indicate whether something is an allegation or a actual fact.
Yeah, but my question now is not, is this what this person said?
Yes. But it's not a quote. It's a summation of what he said.
Okay, then.
Okay, so I'm going to suggest that unless we're amending it right now, that we have a conversation at the board retreat about how much detail needs to go into minutes.
I
Is
do
that
want this
okay?
amended.
Okay, do you have a suggestion for the amendment?
Yes, I do. He also, we help. So where it says he also referenced an email mailed public that showed that allegedly showed. I think adding the word allegedly would be fine, if people are okay with that. And again, I just think for any board member, we have to differentiate between fact and fiction.
Okay, can you read? I'm just trying to see What, is this what this person said?
It is a summary. He referenced an email made public that hopefully allegedly showed President Poncer Kamkar and Vice President Weisberg's knowledge about the clerical specialized contract 5 months after it was implemented.
No, I know.
Again, it doesn't happen a lot, but I do think that, you know, it's an important element. Look, the truth is important, period. So adding the word an email made public that allegedly showed is fine with me. And, you know, I look at it for all of us. I think that it's really important. Well, it may not matter to you, but it matters to me.
Okay.
No, that's not what I said.
So
I'm
that's-
just asking if that is the wording you want to change it. Or
That's, I think, what she's suggesting.
Yeah.
So, that's.
Allegedly, that's not what I said.
No, just when you went like that, like,
Oh,
who
that's-
cares?
You allegedly misinterpreted.
Okay.
Okay. So, I think we got the wording choice. I think we also need to add after closed session, the action station, that no action was taken in closed session. Ms. Cano, can you amend your motion to then approve the minutes as amended?
Yes. So
Just say so moved.
yes. I'm like, yes.
Okay. And then Ms.
Second.
Thank you. So it's been moved by Ms. Cano and seconded by Ms. Olson to approve the minutes as amended, to change that no action was taken in closed session, and to add allegedly to Mr. Vanderborg's public comment.
Truth matters.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. 13B, approval of minutes. Ms. Cano, is this the same issue?
Yeah, same issue. So if we can just amend it to say no action was taken.
Let me
Yeah, let me
review
look and
the
see.
agenda real quick to make sure that we would not have taken action, but because the truth matters.
Actually,
I think it does.
we did.
I know,
we did,
that's why I'm
We did
agreeing.
take action.
No, we did not, because we didn't take action until we voted on the contract. The action we took was in open session, the same way that, for example, when we discuss settlements,
Okay, so then when you're saying reporting on close, when it comes down to number 5 right there, should it just say no action was taken? Because no
Yes.
action was taken during closed session.
No action was taken during closed
During
session.
clo-
So when
yes.
I come out and I say reporting on closed session, no action
No
was
action was
taken
taken.
during closed session.
Right, because it's going to be, but
And
that's what I'm
that's all
saying,
it
just
should
so we
say.
leave it like that, it should always.
Exactly.
If we can have that.
So, do you want to make a motion to amend the board
I'm-
minutes to say that?
Yes.
Great. Just say so moved.
So moved.
Second.
Great. Any other discussion on the board minutes?
No, ma'am.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes as amended. Thank you. All right. 13K, approval of amended agreement for Erica Buchk. Say it again. That's a fun name. Dr. Knapik, or, yeah.
Someone?
I had brought it
Yeah,
up
why don't you
because
go ahead?
I wanted to just, I was just curious if the amount increase was $9,000 or it was moved to $9,000 and what the difference was for this mural experience.
It's the date change,
It's just the date. There's no dollar change.
no dollar change.
Got it. Okay. Easy. Got it.
Got it. Okay, great. Can I have a motion and a second?
Second.
All right. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 13K passes as presented. 13L, ratification of memorandum of understanding between Burbank Unified School District and Adult School and K Dermatology. Miss Olson.
I had brought this one up last time, and I was just curious if the changes was that final sentence, or if there was no changes at all.
I think there was a question about whether or not this could be pass-fail,
Yes.
and
well,
we did look into it, and yes, it could be.
It could be.
Yes.
I think it was more of like, is that how we want it to be handled by one person to be pass-fail? That's not our entity. But if you checked with the adult school and they're
I did.
happy with that, okay. That's all I wanted to confirm.
Yes.
Okay. Can I get a motion and a second?
Second.
All right. Any further discussion? Moved by Dr. Arikanian, seconded by Member Olson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. 13L passes unanimously. 13M, approval of amended agreement for professional services provided by Alpha Interpreting Agency Corporation for Special Education Students. Ms. Nicholson. Hello. Good evening.
Good evening.
It's only 9:55.
That's all.
I might be able to save some time because I
Okay.
think I was the only one to pull. I don't
Oh,
know.
no,
if
I think I would have pulled it too.
Oh,
'Cause
okay.
I know that we got a little bit of detail, but it would
Yeah.
be helpful to go through it, I think. But go ahead.
My larger question is, I think one that I've shared with you before, which is like, what is our plan to change this? So how do we take all this money that we're pouring into agency hires, raise the actual salary of interpreters to attract meaningfully qualified candidates so that they become members of our BUSD community? And so I don't know that this is a question you can answer tonight, but I really would love us to get to a place where we can answer it so we can start thinking about it for next school year. Because obviously, if these services are needed, we need to provide these services. So I'm not here to say we're not giving interpretation but what I am saying is, what do we do to make a change here moving forward? Because, this isn't the only company that we're paying for this service as well, right? And so I think for me, it's not even a specific here. It's what's next?
I think you raise a good point, though. So what could we do?
Yeah.
So like with speech, we have a stipend added to their salaries. And so maybe that's the route we need to go, because these are very hard to fill positions.
Well, and
a
I do.
retention bonus maybe.
Well, and what kind of work are we doing with the CSUN program, and what would we need to be competitive? So we know, and look, the reality is we're talking about equity within our district. It's not like agency hires get paid more money. The agencies get paid more money. So I'd like to get to a place where our employees are being well taken care of and working for the district. So I think, and I don't know who does this, right? But like figuring out what would be a competitive salary that might attract more people. What kind of internship relationships can we develop with CSUN and other programs to begin to foster relationships so once they graduate, they come to us? I think there's a lot of questions, but I think we've kind of talked around it for a long time. And again, I know that this is a complicated question. I just want us to get to a place where we can start to come up with some solutions.
And I think one way we can do it as a grounding base level, look at other districts that have DHH programs. How are they paying their people?
Yeah,
And do
absolutely.
like a comparative study.
I think that is one of the very first and important steps for sure. And I also think it's important too how we frame this narrative, because what we heard tonight is somebody sort of saying, well, we're making cuts other places. And I think it's helpful for people to know we're not making cuts to assistant principals because we're having to pay more for our deaf and hard of hearing students. And so I think it's important for us to control that narrative so people don't start to feel like I'm losing this because of this. So having a more informed process here feels vital to me.
Can I just add to what you are saying here, in that I know this district, we're so underwater right now between staff and everything. But I think what we're craving is in these moments, we don't want to have to ask for the creativity in the plan. We want to hear from you. I've called these districts. I've done this work. Here's where we're stuck, so that we feel a little bit more proactive and don't need to constantly be wondering, how are we addressing this? Because this conversation came up months ago when, we were looking at, I think it was $7 million in one day of agency hires. So, I just want to state that that's something I really want to have as an expectation in the future, knowing I know where y'all are at, but it just needs to be said.
And if it's at all helpful, those conversations and those collaborations and those partnerships have been ongoing for this whole year. So someone brought up CSUN a little bit earlier, and that is one of the entities that at least the special education department, and I know at different points HR has been communicating with and working with in order to support recruitment of candidates not only for teaching positions but for other positions as well. With the deaf and hard of hearing community being a very small community, and with the advancement of technology and people's ability to add technology in order to be able to have improved hearing, the need for certain services and supports are getting smaller. So a lot of the deaf and hard of hearing programs at different universities are also getting smaller. So between that outreach to CSUN, there has been outreach to GLAD, there has been outreach to California School for the Deaf in Riverside. There has been multiple opportunities to talk with, even have one of those entities come to the district to provide training. We have training that's going to be provided by another one of those entities this month for our group. So there is definitely that outreach that is happening, and also working with families within our community to see if there are any recommendations, anybody that they are aware of who has the proper certifications for sign language that would be interested in applying for our district. I just actually earlier this week met with a family member of an individual who is deaf, and she was sharing with me too that although her student is older now, her child is not a child anymore, but is older, that it's really difficult finding services for individuals who are deaf. It's a very low incidence, and for lack of better word, disability, because I don't want to call it a disability. It's a different form of communication and language, but it's low incidence.
I do have a question, just thinking. Now, is this something that, like, I don't know what kind of, to be certificated or what as an interpreter, do you have to have like a bachelor's degree, or is this something like a CTE that we could maybe have at Burbank Adult School?
Great question. So I would have to take a look at the job description itself to know what the education requirements are, but there are certain certifications that the person who is signing to our students is required to have. So there are a variety of certifications.
So I'm just looking at the document that you sent to the board around just more information, and I actually think this is really helpful, and I don't think there's anything in here that couldn't be shared, so I wonder if we attach it to the agenda item when we find, like, if it's possible to kind of attach it in arrears, essentially. But when we look at compare like the year to year, right? We went from basically 1.2 million to almost 1.9 million, and we're already at 1.2 million again through January.
Yes.
So are we on kind of a run rate to kind of 1.9, or do we think overall we're going to be well above kind of a 2 million range, given that that's what we're approving for Alpha?
I think based on projections, we're going to be closer to that 1.8, 1.9, I believe. The difference between the 1.2 to that next school year was that there were compliance pieces that that we became aware of and had to make sure that those compliance pieces were addressed, making sure that all of the IEP services in a student's IEP are being implemented.
Have the number of students, total students in the DHH program changed over time, over those kind of 3 years, or has it remained pretty steady at 33-ish?
I would have to take a look at those exact numbers. I could tell you how many students are receiving interpreting services right now.
Right.
But I would have to take a look at the numbers between those 2 years.
Okay, that'd be great.
Okay.
The other thing I do want to share is because of the numbers, this is a SELPA-based
Right.
program. So this is a shared cost between Glendale and Pasadena and Burbank.
I I know that it's a shared cost, so that we're not bearing this entire cost.
Yes.
I can also imagine that at some point they do get a bill for this,
Yes.
that their board is not approving, that they just get a warrant for, essentially, don't they? And so, I don't know. Tell me how that works.
I actually met with SELPA today through a budget meeting.
Okay.
It's just, again, we're having a follow-up meeting. And I started rambling about typical, the process and how that works. So we are going to be looking at the invoicing, but you're right. At the end of closing, we do a cost analysis based on the metrics we have in place, which I can't tell you everything. I've done it before. And then we build the districts accordingly, and then we set up the new, sometimes there's master agreements that are already in place that we would then distribute accordingly to those different districts. And again, this is all governed by the SELPA rules.
Right.
They take those master agreements because they know their student is coming to us for this program, and that tells them they're going to be in our program, and then they'll be paying accordingly. And then, of course, the cycle continues. We give them the invoice at the end of the year. Now, the metrics, the calculations for the invoices, that's what my follow-up meeting is going to be about. But this will be a part of, we are going to be built back. We do get some of that money back.
Right.
Don't know all the specifics and the amounts, but that's the process.
Right. I think, like, I'm thinking about our 5-star meeting tomorrow morning and trying to be a good steward of the public's money in general, and having to talk to my friends in the Glendale board and on the La Cañada board and saying, like, yeah, we're spending your money responsibly. Like, I want to make sure that we're clear that, we're the ones who make this decision, but even though we're not the ones having to foot the entire bill, right? It's a little bit like going to a shared dinner. You don't have to order the steak just because you're splitting the bill,
Madam Chair, are we going to be voting to extend the meeting 10:30 because it's 10:06?
No, I think we're just about done.
all
Does
right,
anyone
thank
have other questions on this item?
No, thank you.
Okay. Can I get a motion and a second on this?
So moved.
All right. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion 13M passes. That was moved by Ms. Olson, seconded by Dr. Ayakanian. 14A is reports from board members. Do we have any reports from our board members? All right. Well, then I wish everyone, I don't think I have retirements to read because we didn't have a personnel report. So I'm good on that. And I wish everyone a happy Librarian Day.
Merry Librarian Day, everyone.
And a great rest of your April. Good evening. We're adjourned at 10:07.